to help Missouri River flooding victims beyond what's included in the recently approved federal disaster aid package.
We were able, of course, to get the disaster package through. However, it's going to take a little bit of time for that money to get out to the communities. And so people are struggling with, figuring out continually where they're going to live, how they're going to go after the funding that they still need. There's still discrepancies with that.
Axne was in Sidney this week to meet with flood victims from Fremont and Mills counties. Axne says there's a lack of communication among the agencies responding to the disaster.
So unfortunately, at a local level, what we try and do is pick up those pieces and develop some type of cohesiveness for the folks who have been affected by the disaster, because it's really difficult for them to figure out where they need to go to get the funding that they need.
Axne, along with the governor and Iowa's 2 U.S. senators, are pressuring the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to change its Missouri River management practices so flood control is the top priority.
They're working off of old processes where they don't notify people of imminent danger as early as they could. We need to revise their mapping. They're working off mapping that's from the 90s. And so they're not looking at the environmental issues that we're facing today that are different.
Officials in 2 southwest Iowa counties this week asked state officials to start the paperwork for federal buyouts of flood-damaged homes that would be demolished. Mills County officials have identified up to 150 properties, primarily in rural areas, for potential clearing after federal buyouts. Between 50 and 60 properties in Fremont County, mostly in Hamburg, were identified as potential candidates for a federal buyout. An Iowa State University graduate student accused of sexually assaulting a woman in April at his apartment has pleaded guilty to assault with intent to commit sexual abuse. The Des Moines Register reports that 33-year-old Jonah Paulus entered the plea Monday. In exchange, the court agreed to sentence Paulus to 90 days in jail with credit for time served. Paulus also must register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. Police say Paulus held the victim down and sexually assaulted her on April 6th. When the woman was able to get up, she began recording Paulus with her phone and can be heard telling him, "I told you no." Police say he replied, "I know, I know." Paulus has also been charged with sexual exploitation of a minor and possession of an image of a minor in a sex act in a separate case. An Iowa State University mosquito expert says you really can make a difference in the amount of mosquitoes around your home. Assistant Professor of Entomology Ryan Smith says mosquito populations are starting to pick up some in different areas of the state.
I think it really just kind of depends on the given location. I think the temperatures are getting a little bit warmer. We've had some rain, but not quite as much here in kind of the recent week. And so I think these kind of increased temperatures are allowing for the mosquitoes to finally kind of show their ugly heads.
He says mosquitoes need to get blood from somewhere to help them reproduce.
Just a single female mosquito can lay anywhere between 50 to 100 eggs. And that one female might feed multiple times during her lifetime. And each time that she feeds on one of us, taking a blood meal, that provides a nutrient source to produce eggs.
So one way you can keep the female mosquito from reproducing is by not becoming a meal. Smith says you can do this by wearing repellent and proper clothing.
Some of these mosquito species, they don't feed exclusively on humans, but and sometimes might feed on some of the birds or maybe your dog or cat. But really just kind of preventing any biting and removing the standing water in and around the home can actually make a pretty important difference in kind of eliminating mosquitoes.
Most of the mosquitoes that are buzzing about now are what Smith calls nuisance species. They will bite humans, but they don't really transmit disease, and so that's kind of why they use the word nuisance. He says they will bite and feed off of people, but there's no real major kind of health concern. Smith says the mosquitoes that do carry West Nile are already showing up in some places.
Populations that can be important for West Nile virus transmission, we start to see them already, but really as the summer time progresses, their numbers and population will kind of continue to build.
Smith's studies of mosquitoes show that the mosquitoes that carry the West Nile virus are most prevalent on the western side of the state, and the populations drop down as you get to central and eastern Iowa. That's a look at local news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon with a chance for scattered storms. High of 76. Winds out of the southeast 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 60. Mainly cloudy. Chance for scattered storms tomorrow. Highs around 78. Cloudy skies expected. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 65.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services. Oh, why not just cremate me when I'm gone?
Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, there are many options to consider when cremation is chosen. From simple to detailed, we at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you create a unique commemoration.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Hey guys, Ken here from Income Store. I needed to take a minute just to brag on our almost 200 amazing employees. In 2009, we changed our tagline to, "We can grow any business in any industry at any time." The world trusted us and helped us become a 5-time Inc. 5000 honoree. Our 200 employees have done two major things at the same time. We manage 1,800 money-making websites and over 260 e-commerce sites for our client partners across the globe. 34% of Americans visited one of these assets last year. But at the same time, these amazing employees have stopped their life every single week and recorded videos and podcasts of exactly how we grow these digital assets. If you're looking to figure out how we do it, just go to door number 1. It's free. You can study thousands of hours of material on how to grow your business. If you have money but no time, go to door number 2. It's a bit pricey, but our managed services are absolutely incredible. You got to check out incomestore.com. Our 200 employees are absolutely amazing.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth. Of course. This is the time of week we have someone from the Growth Alliance with us, and it's not going to be Dennis Plouts for a while because I think he's got hunting and fishing on the brain. Though Lydia sure tells me he's in town today. Is that right?
He is at the office.
He's at the office?
Yep.
I should call him up on air and give him grief.
Yeah.
Okay, Lydia Sure from the Growth Alliance is here, and we also have Cole Peterson. How are you, Cole?
Good. How are you doing?
It's my great pleasure to meet you, Paul Peterson's son. I must be getting old if I'm referring to people that way. But Paul and I don't remember your mother's name.
Karen.
Very nice people. Very, very nice people. Cole Peterson has joined the Central Financial Group office in Fort Dodge. In the fall of 2017 is when that happened. The career move was also a move back home as Cole grew up here in Fort Dodge and graduated from Fort Dodge Senior High School. Cole has more than 12 years experience working in finance, retirement, and investments. During his time at Principal Financial Group in Des Moines, he worked in the mutual fund, 401k, and IRA departments. Before joining CFG, he worked as an internal wholesaler for Principal Global Investors. His first career was in the golf business. All right. Why did you get out of that business?
I wanted to make money.
Wanted to make money. Yeah, he was in the golf business and then had a job as an assistant golf professional at the Beaver Hills Country Club and as clubhouse manager in Ida Grove. Cole and his wife, Molly, a lot of us know who Molly is. Molly Nelson, I should say, have 4 children, ages 9, 5, and 2-year-old twins, which probably keeps Molly pretty busy. He's an avid sports fan who enjoys cheering for the Broncos and the Cubs. Cole is a Series 6, 63, 66, 7, and life and health insurance licensed. Cole Peterson focuses on helping small business owners with retirement and insurance needs, including setting up succession planning. Okay, I guess that's all the time we have. So that's an impressive resume, Cole. Impressive.
Oh,
so
thank you.
You're a member of the Growth Alliance now.
Well, Central Financial Group is
Central Financial Group.
Correct. Yep. And I'm one of the agents at the office there. We have 6 agents in the office. Mick Flaherty, Pat O'Rourke, Steve Hedinger.
Steve.
Yep. So there's a group of us there, and our whole office is a member of the Growth Alliance. So.
Okay. Is that kind of a partnership? Are you guys all partners there? How does that work?
So we have 3 main offices. There's an office in Algona, Central Financial Group, but the main office is in Johnston, where there's like 40 agents inside that office. So there's a group of 10 partners that own Central Financial Group. And then people like me just work for Central Financial Group, but I also work just for myself too.
Yeah, I understand. You're an independent agent.
Right. We're under their umbrella. Right.
Okay. All right. Boy, the 2-year-old twins, are they boys, girls?
2 girls.
2 girls.
Yep.
Well, that's wonderful. What's their names?
Elia and Etta.
That's really nice. That's really nice. So you have what is your area? I know I read some things here that you have worked in. What do you really like to do? Mutual funds, 401k, what?
So I do mostly retirement planning
for
individuals or for couples that are getting close to retirement age. I really enjoy working with younger people too. A lot of people don't start investing early enough. And that's what I try to talk to, 22, 23, 24-year-olds. That's just start now. And hopefully by the end of it, we don't have this problem where a lot of people end up with not enough money for retirement.
Well, that is so true, isn't it?
It is.
When you're 20, in your 20s especially, you think like you're going to live forever,
Right.
And apparently I'm not going to. But I never gave a thought to it when I was in my 20s, and some of my friends did, and they're much better off for it. They started saving way back, and now they have a nice little nest egg, and their houses are paid off, and they're set.
Right.
They're set, which is where you want to be at my age. Certainly. What is an internal wholesaler? What is that?
So we wholesale mutual funds, and what that means is I actually called advisors, and now I'm that advisor that the wholesalers are calling, but I was that person calling the advisors. And for principal, I was trying to get advisors to use our mutual funds. You could use mutual funds from anywhere, American Funds, Pacific Life, Oppenheimer. You can use them from any company. My job was to get you to use principal's mutual funds.
Okay.
And so I was the guy that called on the advisors. So I knew a lot about the financial advisor business. And I knew that was where I wanted to go. And that's this opportunity in Fort Dodge. Didn't necessarily fall in my lap, but it kind of did at the same time. And now
Were you trying to come back home?
When we learned we were having the twins, I started looking.
You thought it might be nice to have grandpa and grandma come over and help every now and then. Huh?
Right. And Molly's parents still live here too, Tom and Heidi Nelson.
Oh, sure.
And Heidi's mostly retired, so she helps us out a lot too. So once we knew that we were having 4 kids, I started looking back in Fort Dodge, and I feel like I found the right fit for me and for our family. So it's really good.
Well, I don't want to forget this, so I'm going to say it now. Please give my best to your mom and dad. They're great people. I haven't seen them for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
I used to see them quite a bit. Very nice people. Great people.
Yeah, they're great. I can't say enough good things about them. And, you probably didn't see them this winter because they were down in Texas. They go down.
That's a good place to go.
They retired. So they go down to Texas during the winter, and they got back in April. And, my dad golfs almost every day, and my mom quilts almost every day. So
well, they didn't miss anything up here in this last one.
Not this winter. Ugh.
What does it mean to be a Series 6, 63, 66, and 7 and life and health insurance license? That's kind of mysterious.
Yeah. So unless you're in the business, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
But every one of those licenses gives you the ability to sell something else. So Series 6, you need that to sell mutual funds.
Mm-hmm.
Series 7, you need that to sell stocks and bonds. Series 66 allows you to sell managed accounts, which means managed money is where there's a fee instead of an upfront commission. Life and health license, obviously, sell life insurance or health insurance.
Describe mutual funds. One of the things that if we're going to encourage people in their 20s and 30s to get involved, maybe they don't know what mutual funds are.
Yeah.
I got to be reminded every now and then, even though I have a lot of them.
I find that a lot because we as advisors use those terms so loosely because we deal with them every day. Just like a doctor would use a term that I would have no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But a mutual fund is a group of stocks. So a mutual fund has a manager. They're usually very smart, a lot smarter than me. And they pick stocks within their mutual fund. So say the mutual fund has 300 stocks within side of the mutual fund. That manager is trying to get you the best return at the risk level that they're stating in that mutual fund. So if they're an international mutual fund, they're obviously doing international stocks, and it's typically going to be a high risk mutual fund. If it's a bond mutual fund, they're obviously going to be low risk, and bonds can be bought and sold inside of that mutual fund also. So it's not always just all stocks. It can be a mixture of bonds and stocks inside of that portfolio.
Yeah, you start throwing on terms like CDs and IRAs. Of course, mutual funds is the way to go. We have that as a retirement plan here at Alpha Media. And, of course, our company is headquartered in Portland, Oregon. So we work through there. But you could give it a shot if you want. You can call up Larry out there in Portland and say, "Hey, Larry, I think I need your business."
Yeah.
It says you do succession planning.
Yeah.
Now, do you do wills or not?
I mean, I help people get wills set up, but of course I'm not a lawyer, so I don't.
Is that what it takes?
Yeah. I have the sheet, and I work with Johnson Law Firm. So if somebody wants to get a will, I have the sheet. I say, this will get you started, but you're going to have to end up meeting with, Nick Cochran down at Johnson Law, and he's going to draw up the will for you.
These characters.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna have Nevin Mulholland in the next hour.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You talked to Nick.
I talked to Nick mainly, but I know Nevin and Stu.
Yeah, well, everybody
Stu
knows
was my dad's neighbor, my parents' neighbor for a long time.
Yeah.
So, good guys.
Oh yeah, they're good guys.
You'd asked about succession planning, and what that is a lot of times, we as business owners don't know how to pass our business or how to sell it. That is hard to do sometimes. There isn't really a website where you sell a financial advising business or a farm necessarily. So a lot of it is how do I pass down my business to the next person that's going to take it over and run it, and also make me money, of course. So I help people with that. We can do it several different. It's every situation is different. But if you own a small business, succession planning is very important. And if you get to the where you want to retire and you haven't done succession planning, usually what happens is your business dissolves and doesn't continue and you don't get paid.
It's a big mess. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of times. As far as farmers go, do you work with farmers?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk about getting rid of the inheritance tax a few years ago. Have there been tax changes that you know of that have alleviated some of the concerns that people had about death taxes, as they were called at the time?
Right. Yeah. The inheritance tax went up. Sorry.
Wrong way.
Right. No, I'm sorry. I meant the limit went up. So it used to be, I believe it was $5.5 million. Now it's doubled. It's $11 million.
Okay.
So it doesn't start until after that, $11 million. And if you inherit over $11 million, then you would have to start paying the inheritance tax on top of that.
Sure.
So if you got a rich uncle or something like that, it gives you $15 million. The first 11 is non-taxable. Next 4, you're going to pay the estate tax.
Well, and how much is the estate tax after the 11.5?
Without having my,
I
don't have my computer in front of me.
Am I throwing curves at you? Sorry, I don't mean
That's
to.
all right. Yeah. I don't have
to.
every number memorized and I don't want to say anything wrong.
Well, I understand.
I couldn't tell you exactly the number right now.
Yeah.
For
well,
sure.
I just ask questions I don't know the answer to. Well, that's interesting work. I suppose it's probably difficult, and I found this when I talk with financial advisors and insurance people over the years. It's hard to explain complex plans to people and to get them interested or to keep them interested. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah, because again, I deal with it all the time. So
Right.
I try to really make it simple for people, and I use a software program that projects it up on the screen. And more people these days are visual. They want to see it. They don't want you to just tell it to you, because they're going to probably walk out the door and forget it, right? But if they get a printout or they see it on a screen or they see a graph, they're going to remember that. So explaining financial advising to someone that's not in the business is extremely hard. But most people, if you can show them a visual, they can grasp at least what you're trying to get them to.
That's the internet generation. Even I'm that way now. I don't read books or magazines like I used to.
Right.
Everything's online.
Yeah.
Everything's online, and it's quite the world. It is. It really is. Our guest here is Cole Peterson, and this is our time with the Growth Alliance. And we like to talk with people, of course, who have joined the Growth Alliance and find out about businesses in our town. And Cole's with the Central Financial Group. By the way, Steve Henninger, of course, his sister works here. We've worked together off and on for many years.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jane.
That's
Jane.
great.
Jane. Well, she calls herself Jane Morgan on the air.
Okay.
On KKZ, but
Okay.
But she's Steve's little sister.
Yeah, to you. Sure.
She's Steve's little sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've known the family quite a while.
Yeah.
I bought a couple of cars from Dale Henninger, who was their dad.
Okay.
He was a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I've known them quite some time.
Yeah.
Do you sell life insurance
Oh yeah.
and health insurance?
I don't sell health insurance, but you have to have your life and health license to sell certain life insurance products that have nursing home riders attached to them.
Nursing home riders.
Right. So the main product, I don't like using the word product, but the main thing that I sell the most of is a life insurance policy so say it's a $500,000 life insurance policy. So death benefits $500,000. You're either going to do one of two things. You're either going to go to a nursing home or you're going to die. So what we do
Or
is
both.
or both. Yeah. Yeah. Or go to nursing home and die. Yeah.
And
right.
die, yeah.
Yep. So what we do is we want to put our dollars towards what we know we're going to get a return on, right? We want to get those dollars back at some point. So instead of putting money into just a long-term care policy, we put it into a life insurance policy where I can use that $500,000 either to pay for my nursing home care, or I'm going to die and somebody's going to get the $500,000. They're going to inherit the $500,000. So instead of putting money into just insurance, it's life insurance that will pay one way or another. Somebody's going to get $500,000 one way or another.
Okay.
So that is been the wave of the future. Long-term care insurance is basically a thing of the past, because most life insurance companies are doing this where they're going to let you use it for your nursing home care.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that works for me.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into what I have lately, but I probably should, because I'm still young, Cole.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still young. Cole Peterson's been here. He's with Central Financial Group here in Fort Dodge. If someone wanted to talk to you, how could they get a hold of you, Cole?
They can give me a call on my cell phone. It's 515-570-3905, or at the office, 515-955-0607. We have a website, centralfinancialgroup.com. So you could just shoot me an email from there too. But yeah, just give me a shout or an email if you have any questions. I also have a Facebook page. It'd be hard not to find me.
Okay. Cole, it's good to meet you again, and give my best to your folks.
All right. We'll do. Thank you.
All right. Lydia Sheriff with Growth Alliance. Do you have any other announcements before we go to the news?
I don't. I was just here for Cole.
You were just here for him.
Yep.
He looks like he did okay. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, Lydia. This is AM 1400 KVFD.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
It's 2:28. This is AM 1400 KVFD. The news is next.
Adventure Bay Water Park is now open at Adventureland. Ride the waves and soak up the sun in the oceans of aquatic fun. Fun for the whole family, and it's all included with your admission to Adventureland Park. 2 great parks, all for one low price. Open daily at 10 a.m. in Des Moines.
Is it time for a new roof, or did your roof take a beating from Mother Nature? If so, here's some great advice from Han Roofing. When you're trying to decide on a contractor, never tolerate high-pressure sales tactics. Never sign a contract without a price. Never make a payment until your job is done. And never accept a job that is not installed to manufacturer specifications. No warranty, no deal. Make the right choice. Call Han Roofing today at 515-573-7440. That's 515-573-7440. Han Roofing, an Owens Corning Platinum contractor.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Here's a look at news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting for Bob Fisher. One lottery ticket buyer's loss is the gain of a group of Cedar Rapids workers. The Iowa Lottery says a group of 34 workers at Collins Aerospace, which designs and makes aircraft components, won the $1 million top prize in a lottery promotion to give away an unclaimed Powerball prize. A winning $1 million Powerball ticket was bought in Nevada last year, but never claimed before expiring in April. Under state law, the money from unclaimed lottery prizes goes into prize pools for future games and promotions, so the lottery decided to hold a Woohoo! A Million for You giveaway for the $1 million. Under the promotion, lottery players could enter any Powerball ticket bought in Iowa from May 29th through June 11th. Players made a total of 165,265 entries. The winning ticket held by the Cedar Rapids group was bought at an Anamosa convenience store. Iowa Congresswoman Cindy Axne says more needs to be done to help Missouri River flooding victims beyond what's included in the recently approved federal disaster aid package.
We were able, of course, to get the disaster package through. However, it's going to take a little bit of time for that money to get out to the communities. And so people are struggling with, figuring out continually where they're going to live, how they're going to go after the funding that they still need. There's still discrepancies with that.
Axne was in Sydney this week to meet with flood victims from Fremont and Mills counties. Axne says there's a lack of communication among the agencies responding to the disaster.
So unfortunately, at a local level, what we try and do is pick up those pieces and develop some type of cohesiveness for the folks who have been affected by the disaster, because it's really difficult for them to figure out where they need to go to get the funding that they need.
Axne, along with the governor and Iowa's 2 U.S. senators, are pressuring the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to change its Missouri River management practices, so flood control is the top priority.
They're working off of old processes where they don't notify people of imminent danger as early as they could. We need to revise their mapping. They're working off mapping that's from the 90s. And so they're not looking at the environmental issues that we're facing today that are different.
Officials in 2 southwest Iowa counties this week asked state officials to start the paperwork for federal buyouts of flood-damaged homes that would be demolished. Mills County officials have identified up to 150 properties, primarily in rural areas, for potential clearing after federal buyouts. Between 50 and 60 properties in Fremont County, mostly in Hamburg, were identified as potential candidates for a federal buyout. An Iowa State University graduate student accused of sexually assaulting a woman in April at his apartment has pleaded guilty to assault with intent to commit sexual abuse. The Des Moines Register reports that 33-year-old Jonah Paulus entered the plea Monday. In exchange, the court agreed to sentence Paulus to 90 days in jail with credit for time served. Paulus also must register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. Police say Paulus held the victim down and sexually assaulted her on April 6th. When the woman was able to get up, she began recording Paulus with her phone and could be heard telling him, "I told you no." Police say he replied, "I know, I know." Paulus has also been charged with sexual exploitation of a minor and possession of an image of a minor in a sex act in a separate case. An Iowa State University mosquito expert says you really can make a difference in the amount of mosquitoes around your home. Assistant Professor of Entomology Ryan Smith says mosquito populations are starting to pick up some in different areas of the state.
I think it really just kind of depends on the given location. I think the temperatures are getting a little bit warmer. We've had some rain, but not quite as much here in kind of the recent week. And so I think these kind of increased temperatures are allowing for the mosquitoes to finally kind of show their ugly heads.
He says mosquitoes need to get blood from somewhere to help them reproduce.
Just a single female mosquito can lay anywhere between 50 to 100 eggs. And that one female might feed multiple times during her lifetime. And each time that she feeds on one of us, taking a blood meal, that provides a nutrient source to produce eggs.
So one way you could keep the female mosquito from reproducing is by not becoming a meal. Smith says you can do this by wearing repellent and proper clothing.
Some of these mosquito species, they don't feed exclusively on humans, but and sometimes might feed on some of the birds or maybe your dog or cat. But really just kind of preventing any biting and removing the standing water in and around the home can actually make a pretty important difference in kind of eliminating mosquitoes.
Most of the mosquitoes that are buzzing about now are what Smith calls nuisance species. They will bite humans, but they don't really transmit disease, and so that's kind of why they use the word nuisance. He says they will bite and feed off of people, but there's no real major kind of health concern. Smith says the mosquitoes that do carry West Nile are already showing up in some places.
Populations that can be important for West Nile virus transmission, we start to see them already. But really, as the summer time progresses, their numbers and population will kind of continue to build.
Smith's studies of mosquitoes show that the mosquitoes that carry the West Nile virus are most prevalent on the western side of the state, and the populations drop down as you get to central and eastern Iowa. That's a look at local news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. July corn up 9 to 4.50. September up 8.5 to 4.54 3/4. December corn up 7 3/4 to 4.61. March up 7.5 to 4.66 1/4. July soybeans up 12 1/4 to 9.15 1/2. August up 12 1/4 to 9.21 3/4. September up 12 to 9.28. November up 12 1/4 to 9.41. July wheat closed up 4 1/4 to 5.26 1/2. Soybean meal up 6.10 a ton at 3.23. June live cattle down 32 cents at 108.17. August down 60 at 103.95. August feeders down 182 at 134.70. September down 162 at 135.37. July lean hogs down 237 at 79 1/4. August down 210 at 80.90, and October down 172 at 75.72. I'm Dwayne Murley.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 2:35. David Osterberg of the Iowa Policy Project is in the wings, and he'll be with us in just a few minutes. Rain today. What a surprise. Otherwise sunny, if possible. Our high will be 71 at 65 right now. Overnight, some more rain. Tomorrow, more rain with a high of 78. Saturday, the rain continues. It'll be sunny with a high of 82 when it's not raining on Saturday. Sunday, again, rain, mostly cloudy with a high of 80. Monday, showers and thunderstorms. Oh, God. On Tuesday, sunny with a high of 84. And on Wednesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 87. Right now, again, 65 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. William Brueggemann of Lake City has passed away. Services for Mr. Brueggemann will be at 10:30 in the morning Saturday at Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Litterdale. That's for William Carl Brueggemann. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. It's 2:37, 65 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. David Osterberg with the Iowa Policy Project is next.
Did you know when you donate items to the Key on Central, you're helping support DSOC, the local shelter for 20 north central Iowa counties? At DSOC, we support victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, survivors of homicide, and other violent crimes. And when you bring your tax-deductible donations to the Key, you support them too. The Key is always accepting clothing, shoes, furniture, kitchen items, household goods, and more. On behalf of DSOC, thank you for your donations to the Key on Central, on the corner of Central Avenue and 11th, Fort Dodge.
The Orange Tag sale is going on now at the General Store. Come in and take 50% off everything with an Orange Tag. This is the perfect time to shop for summer. From shorts, sandals, and tanks to skirts, dress shirts, and capris, the General Store has something for everyone. Look for the Orange Tag and save 50% right now. And remember, everything at the General Store is tax-free, and all proceeds go toward helping people in our community. Hurry in now and save 50% on everything with an Orange Tag at the General Store, 12 North 25th, Fort Dodge.
In today's economy, it just makes sense to plan ahead. At Historic Bruce Funeral Home, pre-planning your funeral arrangements can save you money. By planning ahead, you can secure your arrangements at today's prices, no matter when our services are needed. Pre-planning your funeral is one of the most thoughtful things you can do for your family. Call us for details. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge. Online at brucesfuneralhome.com.
I was looking for a better way to check in on our house while I was at work, and a friend recommended Blink. I was skeptical, but decided to give it a shot, and I bought a Blink camera system. With our last security system,
false alarms, wires everywhere, and monthly fees we couldn't get out of.
My bad, but our Blink system is different. They're motion-activated cameras that work inside and outside. They're wire-free, easy to set up, and they run on 2 lithium batteries that last up to 2 years.
Total peace of mind. And Blink camera systems start at under $80 with no subscriptions.
We were on vacation, and I got an alert on my smartphone that motion was detected at our front door. I checked my Blink app, and I saw it was just my cool new device being delivered.
Hey, we agreed no new devices except Blink.
Just kidding. Not kidding.
With Blink camera systems starting under $80, home security just got easier. Go to blinkprotect.com/news. 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 Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I am Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth. We're going to tell the truth, make it matter, and never be boring. With me now is the, Doctor of Water, David Osterberg. How are you, David?
I'm good. I haven't talked to you for a while.
No, you haven't. I've missed our conversations. I was thinking of trying to think of a nickname for you. I thought of Aquaman, but it's been taken. So I haven't been able to come up with anything better than Doctor of Water, which was pretty bad, I know. So I'll keep working on it. David Osterberg, of course, is a water quality expert. He has a great passion for water quality in the state of Iowa. And he, of course, ran for the U.S. Senate against Chuck Grassley a number of years ago. And he didn't quite have the budget that Senator Grassley did even then. So he would get in his canoe and paddle around the rivers in Iowa to bring attention to how badly polluted they are. And apparently, according to the Cedar Rapids Gazette and a study by David Osterberg and a couple of other people, by the way, they are both on my Facebook page. If you'd like to follow along with us, my Facebook page is AM 1400 KVFD. And you'll see a article there from the Cedar Rapids Gazette, which is a terrific newspaper, I think, for a town that size. Let's start with the Gazette piece and the headline that says, subheadline, Iowa won't follow stricter federal standards for beach water quality. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Because they would have to report too much bad water.
They would have to report too much bad. How much is too much?
Well, that's the question. I mean, and all of this stuff, you have standards. If you go looking for something, some organism, you may find it, but it'd be in such small amounts that you shouldn't worry about it. Here the question is, if you have these blue-green algae produce toxins, how much should you worry about? Right now, the EPA, just in May, came out with a new directive saying you ought to look to see down to about 8 micrograms per liter. They want to look at, say, the standard. No. 20 is, if it's below 20, it's fine. Now, you know, I mean, this is science-y stuff. Both numbers are legitimate. But if you really want to be protective, if you want to really make sure if some person's little kid is kind of at the edge of a stream and it's kind of green and yucky because there's blue and green algae in it, how much do you want to protect it? I think you, but you know, I taught in public health, so I always would err on the side of saying, let's protect more. DNR doesn't want to look at it that way.
Well, of course, I grew up here in Iowa, and when I was a kid, it wasn't unusual for people with a lot of horses to drive the herd down to a creek or even a river and cool the horses off. Well, horses are going to be horses, so what do you think they added to the water?
Right, exactly.
The same thing with cattle. A lot of farmers used to have cattle before all these factory farms, and they would do the same thing. If they were near a creek or something, they'd drive the cattle down there and they'd cool off and take deep drinks and that sort of thing. I'm saying this just so if we're taking our kids swimming or grandkids swimming, you know, remember where we are. We're in the state of Iowa. We're an agricultural state, and God knows what's been in the water recently. And that doesn't even include things like raccoons and muskrats and everything else. So
no. That's so we're not going to be, you know, having bottled water poured into our streams and then recreate in it.
That's right.
But here are two numbers. And the thing that worries me, this is what worries me more about this, using the DNR's standard that they want to continue with, which is 20 micrograms per liter. If you look at our report, every year it was increasing from about only 2 or 3 to about 5 to about 10 to about 30. And then they got rid of, somebody resigned, they got a big budget cut. Somebody else started doing the testing and it fell from 37 down to 5. And then the 6 the next year. Again, this is using their standard, the one they want to continue to use. How did that happen? And nobody noticed and said, gee whiz, maybe we have changed what we were doing from going from 34 and 37 to 5 and 6. But they didn't even seem to be worried about that. You know, let alone adopting a standard that would have them actually finding more of these cyanotoxins. And cyanotoxins, I mean, this is serious stuff. You know, what I've been doing this morning is kind of looking around on the web. And here's something from, this is from 2016. Okay. I'm going to read a little bit.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Layla was an energetic 4-year-old Springer Spaniel, just reached her prime. Here's her owner, figures that she would have been a perfect dog for this fall's grouse hunting season. She died, lay dead in August after splashing around on the shore of a lake. Okay? Now, the title of this thing, it's an AP, an Associated Press study, Mystery in Minnesota, Dogs Dying from Toxic Algal Blooms. And what they found is that since they've been looking, they found 18 dead dogs. Now, that's how serious this is. Cyanobacteria is not something that's going to make you throw up or make you sick for a day. These are serious toxins. They kill dogs. They make humans very, very sick, and we're not sure what the long-term effects of them are. But I mean, this is something you should really be concerned about. A new study by the Environmental Working Group last year found that nationwide, the number of reported cyanotoxin blooms had been increasing pretty substantially, except in Iowa, where it drops from, again, 37 down to 6. I don't know. I think that DNR has two jobs. First of all, they're the recreation people, and they want to have people at the lakes as much as they can. Second, they're the agency that's supposed to protect our public health from environmental kind of toxins. I don't know. They sure don't seem to be looking very hard to be doing this protection part of their job.
David Osterberg of the Iowa Policy Project is our guest here at AM 1400 KVFT. I tell you, you have got this talk radio stuff down. The Iowa DNR kills your dog.
Listen, there are, and notice that I used the hunting dog example.
Exactly.
The other article was Snooky, Peekaboo, and Nike, who all died suddenly too.
That's right. Bambi's mom died.
Hunting dog.
Bambi's mom has died. The DNR is implicated. All right,
well,
man.
The point is, and that's why I wanted to go look at things on the web that dealt mainly with dog deaths, because there are quite a few of them. And where they used to happen more often in a farm pond, those are more easily contaminated because, again, the contamination comes about because you have nitrogen and phosphorus, more phosphorus than nitrogen, and you have the warming up of the earth that's going on right now. And you put those things together, there are more cyanotoxins around than there used to be. And it's getting so it's not just the farm ponds, but it's also rivers and big lakes. We're getting more and more of this. And remember, almost exactly 1 year ago, we put out a major report on cyanobacteria. And I guess you say that's up on your report on your blog now?
On my Facebook, on my Facebook, yes, it is.
Okay. 3 weeks after that, City of Greenfield had to close off its water supply for about 3 days because cyanotoxins were found in the finished drinking water, in the drinking water that was going out to folks. And this stuff is so toxic, you do not want to be having people drink it or even shower in it. So here's the point. I don't think DNR is taking this seriously enough. And I think the reporter is intimating that. It's on the front page of the Cedar Rapids Gazette this morning, a big picture of a guy out in waders taking some samples. And here's DNR saying, yeah, EPA says maybe we ought to be more serious about when we report a violation. We're not going to be any more serious. We don't believe it.
Well, Alex Murphy of the DNR says that that Iowa already has more oversight of beach water quality than many states that don't test for microcystins. Is that how to pronounce it? Microcystins.
Microcystins is one of the cyanotoxins. There are a whole bunch of them.
Okay. So does Iowa have more oversight?
We may have more oversight. Another article I was just looking at was in New York State from last year, where they only were starting to do the kind of stuff Iowa's doing. And but the point is, you ought to be testing for this. And if some other state isn't doing it as well as you don't say, well, great for us. If we're finding that material and we're trying to protect human health, I think you ought to intervene and say, you know what, we need to do more on water quality so we don't have to have beach closings.
There is another piece on my Facebook page. Go to AM 1400 KVFD. David Osterberg and Mary Skopek as well as Carolyn Buckingham, are the co-authors. And by the way, if you go there, you'll see that this study was funded in part by, yes, Fred and Charlotte Hubble. So you know what that means.
You know what that means, right? And the McKnight Foundation also, who are, 3M Corporation. So, yeah. There are people out there that want to know the truth, Doctor of Truth.
And, they want to know the truth. Boy, that has really become relative the last few years. Wow. Anyway, the paper is entitled Blue-Green Algae, Unclear Water Raises Issues of Danger. And talk a little bit about this, please. Please.
Yeah, well, there are two ways we know about how many cyanotoxins, the toxin produced by cyanobacteria. And it's confusing because cyanobacteria is also blue-green algae. It's the same thing. When we did that, there are two ways of knowing. And first is the beach monitoring program. And I said, if you look at that, you can see how it was going up year by year by year until the person who was doing the monitoring left and they got somebody new. That didn't, again, cause DNR any heartburn. The other way, though, is you do studies on drinking water to find out if there are any indications of that. And when they did a study in Iowa, found, yeah, there were some. And then 3 weeks after we put the study out, and we put it out on June 21st of last year, on one day off from exactly a year ago, Greenfield loses its water supply for 3 days. Again, that shows that more of this stuff seems to be happening. It's an indication that more is happening. Now, getting back to you with lots of horses and cattle in the stream, I don't think we have good numbers from back there to see if this has always been a problem in Iowa, or if it's the fact that we're using so much more fertilizer now than we were back when the horses were frolicking. And climate change has certainly made the conditions much warmer in the summer.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. So now that we've scared the hell out of everybody, what's the solution?
The solution is cleaning up the water is obviously the solution. And that's the other stuff the Iowa Policy Project writes about all the time. Why is it that when people are given a chance to vote back in 2010, 63% of them said, let's spend more money on outdoor recreation and water quality. And for all of these years, no new money was put into that fund to be used to clean up our water. That's what we need to do, is clean up the damn water. Now, that's the solution, but you have to spend money to do that, and this legislature and this governor are unwilling to spend very much money. Finally, they put a little money in 2018 by taking the tax that goes from me in an urban area paying a tax on my water bill and giving it to farmers. Now, that all of a sudden is a kind of an equity question. And they did it that way because they didn't want to raise any taxes at all. Remember who's in charge here.
Sure.
And they just will not, even though the voters said, let's do it. Let's increase the amount of money we're spending. They won't do it. It's been 9 years since Iowans said that. And every time you do another poll to see, did you really mean it? They say, yeah, damn betcha we meant it. But it doesn't happen.
Well, again, as I don't know if I opened the program this way. I don't think I did. I usually open the program by introducing David and then saying, well, the Iowa Policy Project is a research based group that they hope their research will affect public policy. But of course, it never does. Truth.
Almost. Well, no, it does sometimes.
It does sometimes. So now that we've again gone on a rampage and killed dogs all over the Midwest, if that doesn't do it, and we have little children apparently getting sick from the toxins in water, is this farm chemical runoff or what? What are we talking about?
That's what it comes from.
Okay. Now, is there a particular farm chemical?
It's more phosphorus. It's not the pesticides. it is the fertilizer, and it's more the phosphorus side than on the nitrogen side, most people think.
Okay, so it's the fertilizer.
It is the fertilizer.
Okay.
And again, when Iowa State University back in 2013 did this nutrient reduction study, 91% of all the nitrogen comes from agriculture, or comes from non-point sources. And given that 30 of the 36 million acres in Iowa is in agriculture, that's pretty clear from where it's coming.
Well, a lot of farms, of course, in our area still use phosphorus on their fields. But we also, especially in this part of the world where we have a lot of hogs and a lot of chickens, we have a lot of what we call natural fertilizer.
Yeah,
would that be better than the chemical fertilizer?
Worse. It's harder to handle fertilizer than it is a commercial fertilizer. I mean, it's harder to handle manure than commercial fertilizer. That's for sure.
It is.
But I'm kind of pro manure in the sense that there are a lot of other good things there, the good soil amendments that happen. What a study by Chris Jones at the University of Iowa has shown, though, at least in western Iowa, and these are the rivers like the Nishnabotna and the Little Sioux, those that go into the Missouri. What you find is even though there's a lot of manure put down, people are still putting about the same amount of fertilizer on top of it, and commercial fertilizer on top of it. That seems to be the problem. I mean, Iowa State University has these recommendations, so they do the recommendation for regular fertilizer, and then all of a sudden they pour on a whole bunch of manure in addition. That's why he finds so many high levels of nitrogen in those rivers in western Iowa.
Okay.
So there's solutions. You bet there are solutions. 1, spend more money. 2, more education. 3, figure out just how, maybe how much fertilization is enough fertilization. Maybe we're getting to that point.
Well, we've been talking about this a long time. And and
I bet we can talk about it again because the next time we do, I don't think there will have been a change until we have a new election.
Yeah, that's true. That's what will change things. If you want things to change, you have to get out there and vote. And then there's no other solution. There really isn't. If we're going to have a democracy,
I'm kind of pro-democracy.
I'm pro-democracy myself.
Yeah.
I think I should be able to speak loud and long, and everybody else should speak 1 minute. Anyway, David Osberg has been our guest. Thank you, David.
Hey, good to talk to you too.
All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Hi, I'm Amber. I'm a mom of 2, and I live with HIV. When I first received my diagnosis, I was really worried about how I was going to provide for my kids because I knew taking control of my diagnosis was going to be expensive. So I started looking for any resources that could help us out, and I found out I was eligible for Ryan White services through the Iowa Department of Public Health. I qualified for medication and medical care, financial help, transportation, housing, and even counseling. I'm amazed by how much support is available, and I wish I had talked to someone sooner, especially now that I know I'm not alone. Over 3,000 Iowans are living with HIV. How we take care of ourselves and how we manage our care are 2 of the most important ways we can live our best lives. I'm living with HIV, not dying from it. Why wait? Reach out for testing and care services at stophiviowa.org.
It's 3:00 in the afternoon. This is KVFD, Fort Dodge, Iowa. News is next.
If you're a gearhead or not, you'll enjoy the Under the Hood Car Show every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD.
Considering options for Iran. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. A number of White House meetings and briefings today after U.S. officials say Iran shot down an unmanned American drone. Fox's John Decker's live at the White House.
President Trump appearing to give Iran the benefit of the doubt, speculating that Iran's shooting down of a U.S. Global Hawk drone as it flew in international airspace was not intentional.
And I think probably Iran
made a mistake. I would imagine it was a general or somebody that made a mistake in shooting that drone down.
Despite that theory, the president still vowing that Iran's action earlier today will not go unpunished, saying this country will not stand for it. Rich?
John, Iran a short time ago releasing video of the missile launch it says destroyed that drone. In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is appealing to all peace-loving countries to support American efforts to halt what he called escalating Iranian provocations. A huge twist in the court-martial of a Navy SEAL accused of killing an ISIS prisoner.
Navy medic Corey Scott, according to Fox producers inside court in San Diego, has just told the court-martial jury, similar to previous testimony, that he too witnessed Edward Gallagher, his Navy SEAL commander, stab a captured terror suspect in Iraq in 2017. Though what may stop this trial in its tracks, he further testified that he covered the ISIS fighter's breathing tube and that he killed him, not Gallagher, who faced life in prison for war crimes, including accusations that he fired upon Iraqi civilians during his final of 8 overseas tours.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. A positive day on Wall Street. The Dow up 250 points, the S&P gaining 28, with the NASDAQ closing 64 points higher. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Senate today voting to block weapons and military equipment sales to Saudi Arabia.
Over the objection of the White House, the Republican-led Senate adopted 3 resolutions disapproving 22 individual arms sales to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, totaling billions of dollars. 7 Republicans voted with Democrats to adopt the resolutions, each winning majority votes, but all falling well short of the 2/3 majority needed to overcome promised vetoes from President Trump. The administration has urged Congress to back the arms sales, citing growing threats from Iran, but a growing number of lawmakers have expressed frustration with Saudi Arabia's handling of the war in Yemen and the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Well, you can now relive a classic novel courtesy of a popular travel booking site.
You can now book the Airbnb version of Jules Verne's classic journey around the world in 80 days. A small number of guests will travel across 18 countries using 8 different modes of transportation, even a hot air balloon, just like in the book. You'll also explore the Galapagos Islands, hike mountain ranges in Australia, and visit different cultures and communities, all while staying at Airbnbs. The journey leaves from London on September 1st. The price tag is $5,000 and includes all travel, lodging, activities, and meals. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
McDonald's has started a transatlantic barbecue feud with the introduction of a Kansas City-themed hamburger in the UK. Outgoing Kansas City, Missouri Mayor Sly James saying the fast food chain should stay in your lane in a tweet that included a picture of what he says a real burger looks like. Kansas City is known for its style of dry rub, slow-cooked meats drizzled in tomato molasses sauce. McDonald's says the Bacon Top Burger is available until next week, but not in America. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Here's a look at news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting for Bob Fisher. One lottery ticket buyer's loss is the gain of a group of Cedar Rapids workers. The Iowa Lottery says a group of 34 workers at Collins Aerospace, which designs and makes aircraft components, won the $1 million top prize in a lottery promotion to give away an unclaimed Powerball prize. A winning $1 million Powerball ticket was bought in Nevada last year, but never claimed before expiring in April. Under state law, the money from unclaimed lottery prizes goes into prize pools for future games and promotions, so the lottery decided to hold a Woohoo $1 Million for You giveaway for the $1 million. Under the promotion, lottery players could enter any Powerball ticket bought in Iowa from May 29th through June 11th. Players made a total of 165,265 entries. The winning ticket held by the Cedar Rapids Group was bought at an Anamosa convenience store. Iowa Congresswoman Cindy Axne says more needs to be done to help Missouri River flooding victims beyond what's included in the recently approved federal disaster aid package.
We were able, of course, to get the disaster package through. However, it's going to take a little bit of time for that money to get out to the communities. And so people are struggling with, figuring out continually where they're going to live, how they're going to go after the funding that they still need. There's still discrepancies with that.
Axne was in Sydney this week to meet with flood victims from Fremont and Mills counties. Axne says there's a lack of communication among the agencies responding to the disaster.
So unfortunately, at a local level, what we try and do is pick up those pieces and develop some type of cohesiveness for the folks who have been affected by the disaster, because it's really difficult for them to figure out where they need to go to get the funding that they need.
Axne, along with the governor and Iowa's 2 U.S. senators, are pressuring the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to change its Missouri River management practices so flood control is the top priority.
They're working off of old processes where they don't notify people of imminent danger as early as they could. We need to revise their mapping. They're working off mapping that's from the 90s. And so they're not looking at the environmental issues that we're facing today that are different.
Officials in 2 southwest Iowa counties this week asked state officials to start the paperwork for federal buyouts of flood-damaged homes that would be demolished. Mills County officials have identified up to 150 properties, primarily in rural areas, for potential clearing after federal buyouts. Between 50 and 60 properties in Fremont County, mostly in Hamburg, were identified as potential candidates for a federal buyout. An Iowa State University graduate student accused of sexually assaulting a woman in April at his apartment has pleaded guilty to assault with intent to commit sexual abuse. The Des Moines Register reports that 33-year-old Jonah Paulus entered the plea Monday. In exchange, the court agreed to sentence Paulus to 90 days in jail with credit for time served. Paulus also must register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. Police say Paulus held the victim down and sexually assaulted her on April 6th. When the woman was able to get up, she began recording Paulus with her phone and can be heard telling him, "I told you no." Police say he replied, "I know, I know." Paulus has also been charged with sexual exploitation of a minor and possession of an image of a minor in a sex act in a separate case. An Iowa State University mosquito expert says you really can make a difference in the amount of mosquitoes around your home. Assistant Professor of Entomology Ryan Smith says mosquito populations are starting to pick up some in different areas of the state.
I think it really just kind of depends on the given location. I think the temperatures are getting a little bit warmer. We've had some rain, but not quite as much here in kind of the recent week. And so I think these kind of increased temperatures are allowing for the mosquitoes to finally kind of show their ugly heads.
He says mosquitoes need to get blood from somewhere to help them reproduce.
Just a single female mosquito can lay anywhere between 50 to 100 eggs. And that one female might feed multiple times during her lifetime. And each time that she feeds on one of us, taking a blood meal, that provides a nutrient source to produce eggs.
So one way you can keep the female mosquito from reproducing is by not becoming a meal. Smith says you can do this by wearing repellent and proper clothing.
Some of these mosquito species, they don't feed exclusively on humans, but and sometimes might feed on some of the birds or maybe your dog or cat. But really just kind of preventing any biting and removing the standing water in and around the home can actually make a pretty important difference in kind of eliminating mosquitoes.
Most of the mosquitoes that are buzzing about now are what Smith calls nuisance species. They will bite humans, but they don't really transmit disease, and so that's kind of why they use the word nuisance. He says they will bite and feed off of people, but there's no real major kind of health concern. Smith says the mosquitoes that do carry West Nile are already showing up in some places.
Populations that can be important for West Nile virus transmission, we start to see them already, but really as the summer time progresses, their numbers and population will kind of continue to build.
Smith's studies of mosquitoes show that the mosquitoes that carry the West Nile virus are most prevalent on the western side of the state, and the populations drop down as you get to central and eastern Iowa. That's a look at local news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart.
Here's
reporting.
the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon with a chance for scattered storms. High of 76. Winds out of the southeast 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 60, mainly cloudy. Chance for scattered storms tomorrow. Highs around 78. Cloudy skies expected. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 65.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Oh, why not just cremate me when I'm gone?
Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, there are many options to consider when cremation is chosen. From simple to detailed, we at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you create a unique commemoration.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Michael Devine and Nevin Mulholland talking sports on AM 1400 KVFD.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine, and yes, we're going to tell the truth, make it matter, and we're never going to be boring. This is our sports show, and joining us again today is Randy Kuhlman and Nevin Mulholland. So hi, guys, and thanks for coming.
Hey, Mike. Morning.
All right. The big news, of course. Well, we have to start because we're only on once a week. The Raptors' big win over the Golden State Warriors is kind of old news, but we should reflect on it just a little bit. It's going to be one of those games where there's an asterisk behind it, or a series because there's an asterisk. There will be an asterisk behind it because, of course, KD wasn't there and Klay Thompson went down in the third period or something like that. But I don't think you can take it away from the Raptors. They played tough. They played hard. Kawhi Leonard was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know. You guys obviously watched the game.
No asterisks.
No,
I wouldn't put.
I
don't see that at all. I mean, injuries are part of the game.
Right.
You can go back and look at every championship series before this one, and there have been key injuries. I wouldn't. The Raptors played terrific. I mean, I was absolutely just amazed at how gritty Golden State was. I mean, they gave the Raptors everything they wanted.
Yes, they did.
They did not go down easily with all those injuries. I mean, I have new respect and admiration for Klay Thompson, Seth Curry, Draymond Green. They played hard.
Draymond was, he's kind of clowns around a lot, and he's kind of guy like this big, good-natured guy a lot who speaks his mind. But man, when the chips were down, he was there.
Oh, he's a competitor.
He
no
is.
question.
When the chips were down, he was there.
The other person I thought did a tremendous job was Steve Kerr. I mean, the coaching job that he did to get. I mean, he was using players at times that hardly played during the season. Because he was so shorthanded. And as Nevin said, they battled to the end, and it was a great series. A lot of close games. And each team, which surprised me, each team won on the road. Give kudos to Toronto to go back into Oakland and beat the Warriors on their home court in the sixth game. So
well, that's good. We talked about the benefit of quality coaching from Steve Kerr, but we have to give the big shout out to Nick Nurse, ladies and gentlemen, live and direct from Carroll, Iowa, who looks like Drew Carey. But doesn't he look like
he does with his glasses
on? He does with his glasses on. But I'll tell you, when he's over on the sidelines talking to his players, including Kawhi Leonard, they are listening to him intently. You can tell that they respect him.
Yeah. He's a good coach.
Yeah.
And he did a heck of a good job. He did a terrific job. I mean, the pressure on him, his first year as a head coach in the NBA, and he wins the championship.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy. It was good. He coached his tail off. He really did.
Yeah.
Did just a terrific job. He's the what's the thing? The vagabond. I mean, he is coached everywhere. He's earned this, and so good for Nick Nurse.
He came up the hard way. He didn't have connections. He had to go out and win it himself all the way up the line, and he won at every level.
Well, it wasn't that long ago. He was an assistant coach in some small G League team, and part of his job was washing the team uniforms.
Well, interesting enough, I read an article yesterday that he and Jerry Crawford started the Iowa Energy.
Right. They were D-League then.
Yeah. And he started that that pro team in Des Moines, the Iowa Energy back.
He did,
and he was their
Right.
first coach. So he's done it all. There's no question about it. Hey, interesting enough, they're having a big reception for him in Jefferson at the Wild Rose Casino.
Are they really?
Yeah, I think it's not this weekend, but the following weekend. So I think it's on a Saturday, like at 6:00 at the Wild Rose Casino.
We should go.
Yeah, they're
Who's
having
having it?
The town of Jeff,
Sponsoring it.
the town of Carroll is. I don't know who's sponsored, but Carroll. I don't know how far. Carroll's only 15 miles from Jefferson or something. But
Yeah.
So obviously the town of Carroll's behind it, but they've rented the ballroom there at the Wild Rose to have a big reception for
That's
him,
appropriate.
which is cool. And
That is cool.
and of course, people of Fort Dodge know the Paulsons, Terry and Noreen.
Oh, yeah.
And Noreen is a cousin of Nick Nurse.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is it really is close to home. So
There's all kinds of interesting stories about Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
I mean, he coached the Iowa Energy, as Randy said, and then backing up, he was Greg McDermott's roommate at UNI. They
Didn't
played.
know that
I didn't
either.
know that.
I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
know
they
that.
played together at Northern Iowa, and
didn't they? I didn't know that.
Nick Nurse's senior year, he guarded Tony Bennett.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
when Bennett was at Green Bay and Nick was at UNI, and they guarded each other, and they both end up winning national championships this year.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't
and then
know that.
put on top of that, Greg McDermott hired Nick Nurse as his associate assistant coach
Yep.
at Iowa State, and so Nick Nurse left the Iowa Energy to come coach at Iowa State. And after a week later,
3 days.
3 days later, Greg takes the job at Creighton, and Fred Hoiberg comes in, and he immediately fires Nick Nurse
Oh.
for Iowa State. Jamie Pollard. There was all this upheaval about why would you hire this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is McDermott? Another bad move.
Why didn't he go with McDermott to
I
Creighton?
don't know.
Well, that was kind of
happened
a
there.
jerk move on
But
McDermott's part.
Iowa State.
Well,
Iowa State ended up paying Nick Nurse for 3 days of work $150,000.
Well, that lessened the blow. Then,
It
didn't it?
did.
That's $50,000 a day. That's almost as much as Nevin makes.
That's right.
But I earned mine.
I know you do. I know you do.
No.
But it's about what Rush Limbaugh gets paid for 15 minutes.
Oh, I doubt that. Maybe 5.
I don't know, $56 million a year.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that what he
Yeah,
makes?
$56 million a year.
See?
Plus,
Look what you have to strive for, Mike.
I think I'm a little bit too old to be striving. I think I've peaked. You get to be our age. I don't know. I think you should be planning well. As a matter of fact, I am looking into a mobile home. Anyway, Randy Coleman and Nevin Mulholland is our guest. We're talking sports here at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Once again, congratulations to the Toronto Raptors, and especially Nick Nurse. What an inspiring story. It really, really is. I have to move over to baseball just for a minute.
Well, let's stop before you leave this. Does Kawhi Leonard stay in Toronto, or is he gone?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bidding war now. I don't know if Kawhi Leonard has. It's hard to say what the effects of a national championship would be on somebody.
I say he's gone.
Oh, it's huge.
I say he's gone.
But I still say he's gone.
Yeah, he's going to get a max contract, and
Right.
they've identified 5. He's identified 5 teams he's going to talk to.
Who are they, Randy?
It's the Lakers, the Clippers, the Knicks, Toronto, and I believe the 5th one is Brooklyn.
Brooklyn,
So,
really?
Yeah.
I don't understand how the New York Knicks have sucked so many years with all the money that they have
know.
there. I mean,
Big
it's
market.
a good sports town all the way around. The Knicks are popular in New York City, huge population base. But why
They
they're
blame their owner.
They blame their owner. Well, sometimes that's where the blame lies.
Well,
you know?
he's an idiot, and yeah, he is. I mean, he is so mismanaged, the Knicks, but they still make so much money, and they're worth so much money.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
I used to blame the Wrigley family for the Cubs suckitude all those years
Uh-huh.
because they wouldn't. They'd get a couple of. Well, they had Ernie Banks and a couple of, and Billy Williams out in the outfield, and Fergie Jenkins back. Poor man didn't live very long, but
Whoa! Who didn't live long? Fergie's alive.
Is he still alive?
Oh yes, jeez. Yes.
I thought he passed.
No. I just I saw him interviewed a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago.
Well, how old is he?
Oh shoot, he'd be in his 60s.
Is that all?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He's a sharp guy too, by the way. Very
I thought he was
very intelligent, very articulate. Yeah, it was really an interesting interview. I don't know what it was on.
Before we jump to baseball, though, the big thing tonight is the draft.
True.
And that's going to be interesting. There's, you look at a lot of different mock drafts. Of course, Zion Williamson's going to go number one, obviously, to New Orleans, but it'll be interesting because, and then they're really talking up Barrett. I mean, they're really saying how good he's going to be, and maybe he will be. I was impressed with him at Duke, but I just don't see him being that good. But here's the thing, I just read this today, is the Greek Freak at Milwaukee, who is a phenomenal player. I can't pronounce his last name. How do you
We all
say it?
know who you're talking
Okay.
about.
But
We won't try.
Giannis, I call him
Giannis. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
People that are good friends with him call him Giannis.
Yeah. Close personal friends.
Yeah, but he was the 15th pick in the draft. So, again, these teams are all going in hoping that they can find the next, Giannis Antetokounmpo or whatever his name is, in the later rounds of the draft. But if you look at the list, I was looking at a mock draft yesterday that was in the Register, and Mike, it's all based, as Nevin knows, it's on potential. Yeah, they're taking, even Horton Tucker at Iowa State. He had a good freshman year. He didn't have a great freshman year. And they're predicting him to go in the first round because of his potential. He's young, he's a freakish body, and so they're a lot of these guys are going on potential, and that's interesting because the draft used to be you got drafted on how you did in college.
Yeah.
And that's completely changed now. There's a kid named Merced Little that played for North Carolina. I follow North Carolina. I've always been a big fan of Carolina. And they've got him going 13th, and he didn't even start for North Carolina. And they got him being drafted 13th in the draft this year. And he was a 5-star coming out of high school, but he wasn't quite good enough to even start for North Carolina. And he's going to go, they're predicting 13th in the NFL and NBA
How can
draft.
that be? How can that be, Randy?
It's
You
all
haven't
potential.
explained that to me.
Well, just like Randy's saying, though, it's not about how good these kids have played up to this point in time. It's about how good they may play in the future.
Right.
Well,
And it's not what they've done, it's what they may do later.
But how can you determine that if you're not even starting in your college team? How can you justify that if you're you just have so much money that you don't care?
No, not at all. Not at all. But they work them out. They look at how big, how strong, how athletic, how they move. And they think they're just scratching the surface because they haven't played a lot of basketball. Another really good example of all that is Darius Garland from Vanderbilt. He played 5 games last year as a freshman before he got
Is that
hurt.
right?
He is the wild card. There has been talk that he may even move up ahead of RJ Barrett. I don't think he will. But
They got him. This one's got him going 6th pick.
and I can see him being as high
I
as
didn't realize
4.
he only played 5 games.
5 games. 5 games. And they compare him to Damian Lillard. They say he is a terrific shooter, a better shooter than Jay Morant. And a lot of people say he's a better guard than Jay Morant. But of course, Jay Morant does have a book of play that you can look at, and he was pretty doggone good, by the way.
Well, we have draft busts all the time. Every time we start talking about this, I think football and Ryan Leaf. Remember Ryan Leaf?
Sure.
He was a finalist, top 3 guy for the Heisman, and he went he went second. He was picked second in the draft and just flamed out. It was spectacular. I don't know if he had drug problems. I think that's what it was in his later years.
It's a really interesting story if you ever where Ryan Leaf is today from where he was then. Yeah, he had a lot of interesting personal issues and drugs, and I think some depression and issues like that. And then he got tangled up with the law after he flamed out, and now he's a counselor or whatever. I think goes around the country working with And he's very articulate and intelligent, and he has a really great story to tell, and he tells it. He's actually turned out to be quite a guy.
Good for him.
Yeah.
That's another inspirational story here today. By the way, just as an aside, I had Steve King on the air yesterday, but he was really just a warm-up act for Big Ed from Georgia, who was on the entire hour at 4 o'clock. We talked about you. He sends his regards. Nevin.
Does he miss me?
Yeah, that's right. He looks forward to seeing you and converting you to the right cause this summer sometime. He's in Rutland now.
He's in Rutland?
He's in Rutland right now.
Why is he in Rutland?
Of course he is.
So we should. So the next time we do the sports show, we should bring Big Ed in here because he's desperately trying to.
Has he got family in Rutland or something?
Yeah. Well, he's originally from Iowa. I think he was not born in Fort Dodge, but when he was a kid, he lived over in East Lawn.
Oh, really?
I was thinking he was up from the Gilmore City area.
Gilmore City area. Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Big Ed's a funny guy. And he likes Nevin for some reason. Even though he's a Democrat.
He likes to give me hell.
Well, if we're getting this turned out to be our basketball segment, that's fine. I think I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, and I've been thinking all week about the Herschel Walker trade in 1992, where the Minnesota Vikings gave away the farm to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, in 1991, I think the Dallas Cowboys won 2 games. But after that trade for Herschel Walker, and they gave up a bunch of draft picks, I think 5 draft picks. After that, the Dallas Cowboys came roaring back and won a couple of championships. And the Vikings and Herschel Walker, didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that with the trade between the Pelicans and the Lakers, I don't think Anthony's worth it. I mean, he's a great player. He's an NBA Hall of Famer. We'll have to see how well he works.
They gave up a lot. Three first-round draft picks.
Yeah. 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
They gave away that.
Over a protracted period of time, but still,
yeah.
I thought it was I thought the Pelicans did about as good as they could do, frankly. And that would make me nervous. Okay, if I'm a Laker in upper management, but this is what you do have to do. It's all about the present. It's not about the future. It's go time. And they've got LeBron there, and they've got to surround him with a couple guys that can get them over the hump. And AD's a great place to start. But I don't know how you have a lot more left. I know they've got, some cap space here, and they may be able to get one more backs contract. But I'm not sure if you go for one more Jimmy Butler or whatever, or you fill it in with, mid-level guys, because there's no depth on that team.
No.
But speaking of trades, my boy Kyle Korver got traded again.
Yeah, he did. Is he in Memphis or something?
He went to Memphis, his 6th team, his 6th NBA team in 16 years, which
there could be number 7 coming up.
Yeah, I don't believe that's really where he's going to land, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I tell you what, the trade made great sense for Utah. I totally getting Mike Conley. That makes Utah a real player. Ricky Rubio will be gone. But Mike Conley is a stud. And, we don't hear a lot about him because he's in Memphis. But this guy is
That's
good.
right, Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, this is where basketball players go to die.
That's right.
In the NBA. And there goes Kyle again. I remember last time he got traded to Atlanta. I went, oh, my God, Atlanta used to be that place. And it ended up being the best place in the world for Kyle Korver. Became all-pro in Atlanta. But I don't like this one.
I know you're a Korver fan, but he was really a mid-level player. I mean,
he's been in the league 16 years.
He's 38 years old.
Hey, look, I'm not saying he's not an NBA player. He is. I mean, there is no doubt. 16.
Well, most NBA players are mid-level players. They can't all be superstars.
That's right. You're absolutely right, Randy, and thank you for reminding that. You get focused on the superstars.
Well, and we talk about the draft. You know where Korver got drafted?
Where?
He was the second to last pick in the 2nd round.
Second to the last
I believe so.
pick.
Yeah, he's right at the very end of the second.
Think about that.
And he got drafted by at that time New Jersey, who were the Nets, who immediately traded him to Philadelphia for some cash and a copy machine. I mean, it was.
Oh God!
But and look
here,
what happened.
Kids, this is what they gave up for Daddy.
But it was just. But
that's awful.
But remember, Korver is the same age as Kurt Heinrich and Nick Collison, and he's still going
That's
strong.
right.
Yeah, and the other thing is he has value. The Lakers would love to get their hands on him. And Coach LeBron, he has value to a team like the Lakers or Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Everybody's always looking
LeBron
for
loved him at
cheaper-
Cleveland.
to spread somebody to
spread
spread
the
the
court.
floor and doesn't succumb to the pressure of having to shoot, and hit it. LeBron
Well,
did.
he's such a great teammate, too.
Yeah, great in the locker room. So he'll go somewhere else because I agree with Randy. Memphis is in a total rebuild.
Yeah.
They don't need a guy that's been hanging around for 16 years and they wheel him in a wheelchair.
There's a lot of total rebuilds going on out there.
Well-
Who did the Thunder give up? They gave away the big white guy. Who is that big white guy they gave away? Didn't they?
Not recently.
Are you sure? The big white guy with the tattoos and the man bun and I don't know.
Oh no, Steven Adams.
Adams,
He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there.
Wasn't he traded?
I don't think so.
No, he's still there. But it will be interesting because there's a lot of free agency. That's all going to hit in the next 2 weeks after the draft. And so in the next 2 to 3 weeks, it'll be really interesting to see where everybody lands. And you could see some real big changes on some of these teams. And you're right. I mean, the Lakers might be, scouring the ballparks in LA looking for some players to fill their roster.
They might, but I'll tell you, Zion Williams goes to the Pelicans,
right?
And he has some help there now with some draft choices in the future. The Pelicans, surprisingly enough, could be in a real good position to have some national prominence. I mean,
Not right away,
Not
though.
right.
Not right away.
They'll be
no.
lucky to win 30 games. You got to be patient. That's the way it works. They need to. I haven't read anything about where Cousins is going, but Cousins going back to the Pelicans would make some sense, to be quite honest with you. But the other thing that's really, I think, interesting about the NBA draft and NBA in general is the salary cap. And I've been listening to Bobby Marks on ESPN, who was a general manager with the Nets for many, many years. And I'd say that salary cap, you gotta, it's really hard to understand. It is a whole challenge in and of itself when you're doing this drafting and trading. It's everything.
Well, and there's waivers in it, because I heard the other day that money towards the second round doesn't even count towards the cap or something like
It's
that.
very complicated,
really
is my
is.
point. It's incredibly complicated, and every NBA team has a team on their staff dedicated solely to the salary cap, figuring it out.
But what a boost Zion Williams is going to be for the city of New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
A few years ago, when LeBron James went back to Cleveland from Miami, I got an economist on the air who was with Ohio State University, born and raised in Ohio, and a big Cavaliers fan. And he put out a study that showed the economic impact of LeBron James on the city of Cleveland. All boats rose just by having LeBron James there. I mean, he was such a force in the economy, his personal appearances around the city, and there was a renewed interest in the Cavaliers, and that's what will happen in New Orleans. Randy Coolman, Nevin Mulholland are our guests. We're talking sports. We'll be back. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
What's in store this week at Staples?
Savings, boxed up and ready to move.
If you're on the move, make sure your first stop is Staples.
Because right now, when you spend $50 or more on moving supplies at Staples, you save $10.
Staples has everything to get you from here to there, like boxes, bubble roll, and packing tape.
So before you go anywhere, stop at Staples for big savings on moving supplies. Staples.
Where there's a whole lot in store. And $629.19. In store only. Exclusions apply. See associate for details.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about, and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless, and it started working in minutes.
all of a sudden it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon with a chance for scattered storms. High of 76. Winds out of the southeast 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 60, mainly cloudy. Chance for scattered storms tomorrow. Highs around 78. Cloudy skies expected. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 71.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. July corn up 9 to 450. September up 8.5 to 454 3/4. December corn up 7 3/4 to 461. March up 7.5 to 466 1/4. July soybeans up 12 1/4 to 915 1/2. August up 12 1/4 to 921 3/4. September up 12 to 928. November up 12 1/4 to 941. July wheat closed up 4 1/4 to 526 1/2. Soybean meal up 6.10 a ton at 323. June live cattle down 32 cents at 108.17. August down 60 at 103.95. August feeders down 182 at 134.70. September down 162 at 135.37. July lean hogs down 237 at 79 1/4. August down 210 at 80.90, and October down 172 at 75.72. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Lamb meat is growing in popularity in the U.S. Hi, I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Dale Thorne is chairman of the American Lamb Board.
The demand is going up. It appears like our largest consumer group would be millennials, and we understand that they are looking for new, exciting experiences with eating, and lamb really fits into that. And so the demand for lamb overall has been going up, but the supply of American lamb in the U.S. has been slightly going down.
The U.S. imports lamb as well to fill the gaps in domestic demand. A 3-ounce serving of lamb provides nearly 5 times the essential good fats as a similar serving of beef. On average, a serving of lamb meets the FDA definition for lean meat, with fewer than 10 grams of total fat and fewer than 4.5 grams of saturated fat. Lamb is also an excellent source of protein at 21 grams a serving, and an outstanding source of many vitamins and minerals, including iron, zinc, and vitamin B. You can cook lamb just like you cook beef, but lamb has less fat marbling than beef, which means if you trim the fat around the edges of lamb, there will be very little fat left in the cut of the meat. For lamb recipes, go to AmericanLamb.com. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
3, 2, 1. Oh no. Which button am I?
When every second counts, you can't wing it.
Guys, a little help up here?
In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So make a family home fire escape plan. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year so everyone knows what to do when they hear Prepare your family at ready.gov/fire drill. Brought to you by FEMA, the Ad Council,
at JMike1400.
This is AM 1400 KBFD, the voice for Dodge. We're talking sports today with Randy Coleman and Nevin Mulholland. And once again, thanks for coming, guys. What was that story I saw in the paper that Richard Nixon was taking advice from Larry Eustace?
That was. I don't think
what was that about?
Seriously? No. That's the Nixon's guard for Iowa State.
Played
Played for Larry Eustace.
Who did?
This kid named Nixon. He was redshirt. He transferred to Iowa State.
I didn't read the story, but I just saw the headline.
Oh yeah.
Larry Eustace must have been 10 when.
Sounds like he's a good player. I mean, Eustace. He claims that Eustace kind of directed him to Iowa State. Eustace got fired.
This is a kid that was at Colorado State.
Colorado State.
Yeah.
He got fired at Colorado State in the middle of the year.
Eustace did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it in the middle of the year? I think.
It was. There were some issues.
Yeah.
You know, and it was more. It's his temper.
Yeah.
He gets very
He's a volatile
edgy,
guy.
very
Yeah, he
volatile
is.
guy, and that never really ended. I don't think.
No, I don't think it did.
But
I
this
mean, you
Nixon-
are who you are.
Yeah, the Nixon kid actually said that he said you kind of have to be crazy to play for him, but he said that he really benefited from him and respects him a lot. And one of the reasons he ended up at Iowa State is because Eustace really promoted the Cyclones and encouraged him to go there. So
Well, you remember.
sounds like they got a good one there.
This is a little inside baseball stuff. Maybe you guys knew this. I don't know. But there was a huge blowback against the Des Moines Register when Larry Eustace was fired because they kind of carried the ball. They had pictures of Larry Eustace on the paper, all those embarrassing pictures of him drunk kissing some college girl down in Missouri and all that sort of thing, which led to his
He
dismissal.
wasn't even kissing her in that picture. He's just having a beer with her, as I recall.
Come on, Nevin. That was slightly inappropriate. I mean,
It was inappropriate. But I tell you what, they built a statue of him at Louisville.
They built a statue of Larry Eustace.
No, they would. I mean, if you're in the SEC,
What are you
that's
talking about
That's a
over there?
nothing deal. It's a nothing deal down south. Look what.
Well,
the team-
having sex with your sister is nothing but a big deal down
No,
south.
but look at what I mean. Honestly, it isn't. You look at what Patino did when he was at Louisville and some other, and they just.
Oh yeah.
I'm not justifying it at all. I'm not saying Iowa State didn't do what they had to do, but it's when you compare it to some other bad behavior by college coaches, it pales.
So it's so sexual assault and rape are different. How in a legal sense? Is this? I mean,
He didn't sexually assault.
I'm
him.
not saying anybody's sexually
Well,
assaulted.
how
and
the heck did you get to that?
I was wondering how we got to Louisville when I was trying to make a point about the circulation dropping in the Des Moines Register because Iowa State fans were ticked at the firing of Larry Eustace.
Well, the coach at Louisville, had sexual relations in a restaurant on a table.
You didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Oh God! No, I did not. When did that happen?
And I think it may have been an assistant coach's wife or whatever. I mean, this
How
was
long ago
Patino
was this?
10 years ago.
Oh, I don't think
This was Rick Pitino?
Yeah.
I'd say 6 years ago, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just kind of said, well, it was a poor decision on his part. Let's move on. We got a good team coming back next year.
And then we had the whole deal with the prostitutes being brought into the
right.
dorms. And they go, oh, that's another bad idea. Don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It was only after Bowen they allegedly
$100,000.
paid Bowen $50 or $100,000 that they said, Rick, enough's enough. 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah. Wow. No, I didn't. I did not know that. Of course, Jameis Winston had his problems in Florida, and he's playing in the NFL. And let's not forget, we're all old enough to remember this. The Minnesota Vikings were in training camp and went to
The Love Boat.
Yeah, they supposedly raped a stripper who was there to entertain them, and really nothing was said. Really?
Oh, really? I
think
don't remember the rape.
I don't know about that.
The
That's a little
Vikings-
strong. I didn't.
Yeah, I don't.
I think it got a little out of hand, but I don't recall that.
Well,
I think
supposedly,
it was just,
as I recall, and I'm going to look this up now, the assault or whatever it is was taking place, and there were a couple of Minnesota Vikings at the door, keeping people from coming in. Now, if Carl Eller is standing at the door telling me not to come in, I'm not coming in.
yeah. That was after Carl Eller, though.
Was it after Carl Eller?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, we've always said with the SEC, when you get hired, it's like we expect you to cheat, but don't get caught.
Yeah.
And, but
of course, Saint.
And if you do, we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
But geez, don't.
if you're winning,
If you're winning, yeah. If you're not winning,
forget it.
That seems to be the case, doesn't it? Wow. Anyway, I don't know how we got off on that tangent. Maybe it was me. I don't know, but
Usually is.
Oh, come on! You come busting in with us. Oh, look what happened to Rick Maduno. Poor Larry Eustace. That's a comparison I was trying to make between sexual assault and rape. Now, are you saying that Eustace did these vulgar things over here, but it pales in comparison to
what
Pitino?
Rick Pitino
Right,
and Rick Pitino didn't get fired? I mean, Eustace's issues were alcohol related, and I don't. And nothing more than that. There were no claims of sexual assault or anything like that.
He went through rehab, and I think he
straightened himself up.
Yeah,
you know,
but he still had his temper though.
Yeah, that's always been a problem. My point was it wasn't anything more than that, and frankly, had he been at other institutions, the bar's a little lower. Yeah. And if he's winning like he was winning at Iowa State, it was something they would have dealt with, but not by terminating him. That's my point.
Right.
Well, that's a good point. All right. This is AM 1400 KVFT, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine, along with Randy Coleman and Nevin Mulholland. We're talking sports, and we need to talk about the Cubs here a little bit. But he played last night. I fell asleep on the couch again during the game. When I fell asleep, Nevin, it was like 6-3. Lester was not pitching his best game. Chicago White Sox played surprisingly hard.
They're much improved.
Yeah,
they are.
And Giolito, up to last night, I think you could say was the best pitcher in the American League right now. And the Cubs had a nice game against him.
Yeah.
I mean, he still struck out 9 guys, I think, in 5 innings or whatever. But, the night before, Eloy Jimenez hit the 2-run shot in the ninth to beat the Cubs, and that is who the Cubs traded to the White Sox for Quintana, which is still a very hot button for a lot of Cub fans.
I'll bet.
Whether he should have been traded, including David Kaplan, who always says horrible trade, and he can't get over it. So it was an interesting series, but the White Sox are much improved, and they have a nice foundation there. They're in a rebuild, but they're getting it. They're kind of doing it the way the Cubs did it.
Yeah. And, Contreras had a huge game last night with 2 home runs and a grand slam and
5 RBIs. He was the difference.
Yeah.
Remember that Minnesota Vikings boat incident we just talked about?
Yeah.
When do you think that was?
Oh, I'd say 15 years ago.
Yeah, I'd say,
20.
what is it? I'd say, I'll say 1998.
Well, it's Nevin over here is the closest, of course. 2005.
Oh,
God,
okay.
I thought it was years and years ago. God, my
2000. Yeah.
I'm older than you fellas, I guess.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really does. Yeah, I'm reading about it online now, and the details are really too disgusting to repeat on a family show.
No.
Yeah. As we get older, I notice we think it's 5 years and actually it was 15.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Gosh almighty. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, talking sports with Nevin Mulholland and Randy Kuhlman. So the Cubs did look. Their bats are awake anyway. Chris Bryant.
Last night they were.
Yeah.
They're in a funk.
But Chris Bryant is back in town, which is the good news. Last year he did not have a good year. He was injured a lot, didn't play as much as he had the year before. But he seems to have come around a little bit. He's playing good in the field. I watched a game earlier this year when he hit 3 home runs in one game. So I have. If we could just get a bullpen, I think we'd be.
Well,
World
Kimbrel
Series.
is looking good. He's pitching for the I Cubs, and he pitched 2 nights ago. It's 3 nights ago now, 2 nights. And he had a nice outing. He's going to be up in Chicago probably next week, I suspect. And
that's what he suspects. He keeps talking about it.
Let's hope he's got his A game. We need help in the pen. But our hitting in the it kind of fluctuates. That's baseball.
Yeah.
But we're in a funk right now. Last night was the first night that we, you look at our batting averages. I don't, right around 280. We have nobody hitting over 300.
No.
And frankly, I think we go the way Javi Baez goes. He is if Baez is hitting, we're hitting. If he isn't
Yeah.
hitting, we're not hitting.
And he's been in a slump.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny how
Yeah.
that works.
Baez is a top player. If he's not an all-star, I don't know who is.
Oh yeah, I mean he is, but I don't know if baseball. You think baseball's changing from because the batting averages are down from what they were 20 years ago. I think, but there's more home runs.
Yeah, the
I think-
ball's livelier, and there's a lot of hitting going on really right now.
It's like they're all swinging for the fences.
Well, and there's all kinds of theories. Now we've got the whole launch angle approach,
Right.
And the ball's juiced up the way we're doing the threads, and I don't know. And to your point, they're hitting more. They want to hit more for power than average.
Right.
Is your typical baseball player?
Yeah, they're all like you said. That launch angle is all about hitting the ball up in the air over so you can get it over the fence.
That's what puts the fans in the stands. So, I mean, some of the great home run hitters had lousy averages. I'm thinking, I don't think Barry Bonds had that great an average, but he's the all-time home run leader. I may be wrong in that, but I know there were some big-time power
He
hitters.
hit for average too.
Did he hit for
Yeah,
average too? I think
yeah.
you're right now that I'm thinking.
But
back.
Jimenez is, and I'm probably saying his name wrong, but Eloy for the White Sox 2 nights ago, that home run, he broke his bat on that. And, and that
that's
ball he
unbelievable.
took deep to left field.
Yeah.
That's one strong man. I tell you, he's a big boy too. Ooh.
They've got a couple big boys on that White Sox team.
Yeah.
They look like they're weightlifters. I mean, they do. They're just
That's
big.
the way the younger players look. I
Yeah.
mean, they're in that gym a lot. It wasn't unusual when we were young. to see a
intimidating
ball.
looking guys.
Yeah.
Here's a question. We're talking baseball. So, are we getting the real story or not on David Ortiz?
We haven't got the story yet, have we?
Well, now they're saying it was a case of mistaken
mistaken.
identity.
Oh, bull.
That's what I say.
My God, that's ridiculous. He's a national hero in the Dominican Republic. Well, I didn't know. Come on, man. What's going on down there?
And it was a group of about 15 guys at the end that conspired that were all part of this,
which is tied to a Mexican cartel guy.
Yeah.
And what they're saying was the guy sitting with Ortiz at the table was some sort of a big drug dealer. Which, if that's true, why is he sitting with Ortiz? I mean,
Well, there's the lines are blurred a little bit more in the Dominican Republic, I suppose. Ortiz, but
just don't drink the booze down there.
don't drink the booze either. There is a lot going on in the Dominican
Oh,
Republic.
man.
I mean, those 8 people have died.
It's up to 9
mysteriously.
now.
Is it 9?
Yeah.
Oh man. I guess when I was a little earlier, I incorrectly named Barry Bonds as not hitting for average. I actually meant Mark McGuire, who hit for a 263 career average, but he's second on the all-time homer list.
Yeah, but right now 263 is considered pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it used to be that was kind of average, and now it's good.
263 is good.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a lot of the players, I mean, even Chris Bryant, we talk about him hitting, but I mean, he's under 250.
Half the Cubs starters are under 260.
Yeah.
Chris Bryant's hitting less than 250.
Oh
did
yeah,
you
I
say?
think so.
Oh, that's
Now he's
right.
hit some home runs and things like that, but the averages are down.
Wow. Well, we're what did you think of Lester's pitching last night? It wasn't his best game.
He's struggling, but you know what he does? He hangs in there.
He
He
does.
grinds. He competes.
Yep.
He's a
You
tough
know,
guy.
The first guy up for the White Sox jacks one out. Lester. Okay, here we go. And he hangs right in there. He doesn't. He doesn't lose his composure, and he'll give you 5 or 6 innings when he's not having a good night. He'll hang in there, and he did. That's what he did. Frankly, it's a good win for him because he did not have his best stuff, and he hasn't had his best stuff really lately.
Yeah, I've seen. I take pains to watch when Lester is pitching, and I've seen him throw a couple of good games, but last night was not one of them. And there's been as you say, he's been kind of up and down. Gosh, he is probably 36 years old by now, isn't he?
Yeah. He's I forget how old he is, but I mean he's getting in the later years of his
career. Yeah.
And
how many years was he in Oakland? My God, he was over there for
not long.
But he was in Boston for
there is where he was.
For
how long
Oakland,
a
was
year
he?
or 2.
Is that all he was in? Oakland?
Yes.
How about Boston? He had to be 10 years in Boston, didn't it?
Maybe 8.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
We don't need to get
No.
specific on that. We don't need to get real specific on that. Anyway, I hope that the Cubs can be a cut. The Brewers surprised me. Maybe they shouldn't, but man, are they tough?
They're in a funk. The Brewers can't win right now.
Yeah.
Well,
that
I think they're on the West Coast, and they're, the team that's, I hate to say it, the Cardinals get swept by the Cubs in Chicago, and they go out east on the road, and they've been on a major roll since then. We
don't like to talk about the C word here at AM 1400. We're forced every now and then when Bemrick is here, but that's about it. Well, the Brewers are tough. The National League Central Division is the best division in baseball. I don't care. But, we were talking about, or I was thinking about players who really don't look, who are throwback looking players to my mind. In other words, they're not Greek gods carved out of marble somewhere. I'm still thinking Bartolo Colon. Is he still playing ball?
The big sexy?
The big sexy. My man. Looks like a barrel, man, but he can throw the ball.
I don't think he's playing this year, at least in the major leagues. Let me ask you this question. So, saying all this, who is the best team in baseball right now?
Who is the best team? Boy, that's a good question.
I'd say the Dodgers, but
the Dodgers have got a couple of great players.
How about the Twins? I mean,
no,
they won 40.
I think
47 and 48
don't
wins.
Sleep on Houston.
Yeah,
when they get everybody back and they're healthy, and you want a sleeper team that's really a team that's playing really well right now in the National League, Atlanta.
Atlanta
they're young and they're tough. They get their starting pitching back. But the Twins, I don't know how you can. I hate to say that, but
Dave and Dan are out there jumping up and down.
Oh yeah, they are. And I don't know. I don't watch a lot of American League, but I watched Houston play the Cubs, and I'm going, oh boy, these guys. And they had one hand tied behind their back because they were down 3 starters, and they were still a better team than we were. Yeah, they were.
I'll tell you, it's a great time to be a baseball fan because there's a lot of really solid teams out there. Major League Baseball is pretty competitive. The Pirates are not the best team in Major League Baseball, but they'll compete with anybody. I mean, you give them a good game or you give them a good day, and they're going to beat you. What happened to Andrew McCutcheon?
But there's 6 divisions in the National Major League Baseball, and 3 of them, the leaders are already before the 4th of July. The Dodgers are up 10 games in their division. The Twins are up 10 games in their division.
Twins.
Yeah.
And Houston's up 9 games. So 3 out of the 6 divisions might be already done, by the 4th of July.
You shouldn't be able to blow a 10-game lead.
Right.
You remember the Philadelphia Phillies when we were young?
I remember the Chicago Cubs in 1969.
I don't ever want to talk about that.
That was a 10-game lead in August.
Jeez.
And Jack Brickhouse was on the radio crying when they lost the pennant.
I listened to that.
Jack Brickhouse.
Oh God, there's Jack Brickhouse.
Well, actually, Lou Boudreau and Vince Lloyd were calling the games on the radio.
But they used to switch. Remember that? They'd switch from TV. They'd go over and they'd work a few innings on the radio, and the radio guys would do TV.
That's true.
But Brickhouse was on the air for the game. He might have been on television. I don't know.
They didn't televise all the games either back then.
But WGN carried up, all the Cubs games back then. I mean,
I don't think they televised them all. Oh, the radio.
Well, and TV too. A lot of them. Yeah.
But in 69, I don't know.
Well, I know about 69. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I don't know.
They didn't.
When I was a kid, they had an AM radio.
Did we even have cable TV in 69?
No, we didn't. No.
Yeah,
the Cubs WGN would be on WOI, and you get 1 game possibly on the weekend. That's it.
And Jack Brickhouse and Milo Hamilton. I probably told you guys the story. Larry Bowa was with the Cubs, and he was at shortstop, and he was covering second base, trying for a double play, and somehow he caught it right in the family jewels. I mean, he's laying on the field with his knees on his chest, and he's rolling from side to side in agony. And Jack Brickhouse was on the air. Oh, Boa took a terrific shot there in the How would you describe that, Milo? And Milo says, lower abdomen jack without missing a beat. That was perfect. That was perfect. All right. Thanks for coming, guys. It's always a lot of fun.
You bet.
All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Four o'clock in the afternoon, KVFD for Dodge. Mayor Matt Bremrick is next.
Hi, this is Leslie Segretti.
And I'm Tom Kreitler, and you can hear the Money Pit every Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Dealing with a downed drone, I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Iran has released video of what it says is its missile destroying an American unmanned drone near the Strait of Hormuz. The Trump administration updating congressional leaders.
President Trump says Iran made a very big mistake shooting down an unmanned U.S. surveillance drone. But
I have a feeling that it was a mistake made by somebody that shouldn't have been doing what they did.
the president said it could have been done by somebody loose and stupid. His assessment coming before a classified briefing for top lawmakers at the White House. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she does not think there's an appetite for war.
We have to be strong and strategic about how we protect our interests. We also cannot be reckless.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has a tougher message, saying if Iran is itching for a fight, they're going to get one.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. The Senate today voting to block $8 billion in arms sales to Saudi Arabia. President Trump has said he'll veto that measure. A federal appeals court today allowing the Trump administration's family planning rules to go into effect.
The new policy would withdraw federal Title X funding from any medical facility that provides abortions, as well as abortion counseling or abortion referrals. Planned Parenthood was among the groups opposing the new rules. In a statement, the Justice Department said, "We're pleased that the Ninth Circuit has cleared the way for this important executive branch action to take effect while our appeals are pending."
Fox's John Decker at the White House. A Navy SEAL called by prosecutors to testify at the murder trial of a colleague says he killed a wounded prisoner in Iraq in what he calls an act of mercy. Corey Scott saying today that he asphyxiated the teen ISIS fighter after Special Operations Chief Edward Gallagher unexpectedly stabbed him. Prosecutors say Scott is lying to protect Gallagher. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
And the Republican Roy Moore making another run for U.S. Senate.
Moore says he plans to run ultimately against incumbent Doug Jones in 2020, proving he has been and always will be a fighter.
I fought for our country in Vietnam. I fought for our country and its laws as Chief Justice. I fought for morality to preserve our moral institutions, and I'm ready to do it again.
He maintains allegations of sexual misconduct with teenagers from decades ago are unfounded.
These are false claims, false information.
Moore will face at least 3 other Republicans in the primaries. President Trump tweeted last month that if he ran, Moore probably won't win. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The Boy Scouts are seeking to bolster their sex abuse prevention efforts with a new awareness program featuring cartoon-style videos. The videos will be provided to more than 1.2 million Cub Scouts across the country. The aim is to teach children how to recognize abusive behavior and what to do if confronted by it. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti facing a recall effort over the city's homelessness crisis.
The effort to recall Mayor Eric Garcetti is based on what the petition says is failed leadership on the homeless issue, causing, quote, a serious risk to all the public health with reported diseases such as typhoid fever, tuberculosis, and other fecal and rodent, flea, and bedbug-borne diseases. One medical expert warned that LA could see bubonic plague for the first time in 100 years. And block after block, mile after mile of encampments replete with drug needles and human waste is a staggering reminder of how dire the situation is.
Fox's Trace Gallagher. Baseball games have been streamed online in the past, but for the first time, a game will be shown on YouTube. The video portal's first Major League Baseball game will be July 18th when the Phillies host the Dodgers. YouTube will stream 13 games after the All-Star break. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Here's a look at news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting for Bob Fisher. One lottery ticket buyer's loss is the gain of a group of Cedar Rapids workers. The Iowa Lottery says a group of 34 workers at Collins Aerospace, which designs and makes aircraft components, won the $1 million top prize in a lottery promotion to give away an unclaimed Powerball prize. A winning $1 million Powerball ticket was bought in Nevada last year, but never claimed before expiring in April. Under state law, the money from unclaimed lottery prizes goes into prize pools for future games and promotions, so the lottery decided to hold a Woohoo $1 Million for You giveaway for the $1 million. Under the promotion, lottery players could enter any Powerball ticket bought in Iowa from May 29th through June 11th. Players made a total of 165,265 entries. The winning ticket held by the Cedar Rapids group was bought at an Anamosa convenience store. Iowa Congresswoman Cindy Axne says more needs to be done to help Missouri River flooding victims beyond what's included in the recently approved federal disaster aid package.
We were able, of course, to get the disaster package through. However, it's going to take a little bit of time for that money to get out to the communities. And so people are struggling with, figuring out continually where they're going to live, how they're going to go after the funding that they still need. There's still discrepancies with that.
Axne was in Sydney this week to meet with flood victims from Fremont and Mills counties. Axne says there's a lack of communication among the agencies responding to the disaster.
So unfortunately, at a local level, what we try and do is pick up those pieces and develop some type of cohesiveness for the folks who have been affected by the disaster, because it's really difficult for them to figure out where they need to go to get the funding that they need.
Axne, along with the governor and Iowa's 2 U.S. senators, are pressuring the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to change its Missouri River management practices so flood control is the top priority.
They're working off of old processes where they don't notify people of imminent danger as early as they could. We need to revise their mapping. They're working off mapping that's from the 90s. And so they're not looking at the environmental issues that we're facing today that are different.
Officials in 2 southwest Iowa counties this week asked state officials to start the paperwork for federal buyouts of flood-damaged homes that would be demolished. Mills County officials have identified up to 150 properties, primarily in rural areas, for potential clearing after federal buyouts. Between 50 and 60 properties in Fremont County, mostly in Hamburg, were identified as potential candidates for a federal buyout. An Iowa State University graduate student accused of sexually assaulting a woman in April at his apartment has pleaded guilty to assault with intent to commit sexual abuse. The Des Moines Register reports that 33-year-old Jonah Paulus entered the plea Monday. In exchange, the court agreed to sentence Paulus to 90 days in jail with credit for time served. Paulus also must register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. Police say Paulus held the victim down and sexually assaulted her on April 6th. When the woman was able to get up, she began recording Paulus with her phone and can be heard telling him, "I told you no." Police say he replied, "I know, I know." Paulus has also been charged with sexual exploitation of a minor and possession of an image of a minor in a sex act in a separate case. An Iowa State University mosquito expert says you really can make a difference in the amount of mosquitoes around your home. Assistant Professor of Entomology Ryan Smith says mosquito populations are starting to pick up some in different areas of the state.
I think it really just kind of depends on the given location. I think the temperatures are getting a little bit warmer. We've had some rain, but not quite as much here in kind of the recent week. And so I think these kind of increased temperatures are allowing for the mosquitoes to finally kind of show their ugly heads.
He says mosquitoes need to get blood from somewhere to help them reproduce.
Just a single female mosquito can lay anywhere between 50 to 100 eggs. And that one female might feed multiple times during her lifetime. And each time that she feeds on one of us, taking a blood meal, that provides a nutrient source to produce eggs.
So one way you can keep the female mosquito from reproducing is by not becoming a meal. Smith says you can do this by wearing repellent and proper clothing.
Some of these mosquito species, they don't feed exclusively on humans, but and sometimes might feed on some of the birds, or maybe your dog or cat. But really, just kind of preventing any biting and removing the standing water in and around the home can actually make a pretty important difference in kind of eliminating mosquitoes.
Most of the mosquitoes that are buzzing about now are what Smith calls nuisance species. They will bite humans, but they don't really transmit disease, and so that's kind of why they use the word nuisance. He says they will bite and feed off of people, but there's no real major kind of health concern. Smith says the mosquitoes that do carry West Nile are already showing up in some places.
Populations that can be important for West Nile virus transmission, we start to see them already. But really, as the summer time progresses, their numbers and population will kind of continue to build.
Smith's studies of mosquitoes show that the mosquitoes that carry the West Nile virus are most prevalent on the western side of the state, and the populations drop down as you get to central and eastern Iowa. That's a look at local news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon with a chance for scattered storms. High of 76. Winds out of the southeast 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 60, mainly cloudy. Chance for scattered storms tomorrow. Highs around 78. Cloudy skies expected. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 76.
To keep your vehicle running at its best, keep up with routine maintenance. The certified service techs at Humboldt Motor Sales make maintaining your vehicle easy. They offer convenient hours and competitive prices on all service and parts. And they take care of your GM warranty needs too. From oil changes to tires, brakes to batteries, engine repair and transmission repair, Humboldt Motor Sales can handle it all. Have your vehicle serviced soon at Humboldt Motor Sales. Log on to HumboldtGM.com to schedule an appointment now or call 800-566-8671.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Oh, why not just cremate me when I'm gone?
Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, there are many options to consider when cremation is chosen. From simple to detailed, we at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you create a unique commemoration.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Get up first thing, smoke a cigarette before lunch, after lunch. Now that I'm talking about it, I kind of feeling like I've lost about 4 hours of every day. I decided I needed to find an alternative. So I started looking, and then Juul came up. I did both for a while. Eventually I just switched over, and it's very quick.
Mimi made the switch July 2015.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
You don't have bad luck. The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 with Mayor Matt Bemrick.
Boss, man, top dog, big cheese, a head honcho.
Call now. 515-955-1400.
That's right. The big cheese is here. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I, of course, am a bigger cheese. So Matt and I will sit here and argue about who's the bigger cheese here for a while. I think I'll give it to you today.
You might be the smellier.
I just took a shower. Just took a shower before I got here. And I see you've been working all day and you haven't shaved. So I think you win. Smellier cheese. There you go.
Right.
Okay. All right. So are you getting any work done or not?
Yeah, it's been a good construction season so far. Yep.
Okay.
The rain's kind of screwed some stuff up, but for the most part, jobs seem to be moving pretty good.
The Aldi
At least
store is
for us.
open finally, I think.
Yep,
Let's see.
they got that Aldi store down. I haven't been in there yet.
I haven't, but
I
I'm
saw
going.
some pictures. It looked pretty nice.
I'm going to go in there. I keep telling myself I'm going to go in there. I just haven't got there yet. But I drive by there, and it looks really nice on that corner now.
Does.
Big improvement.
Yeah,
big improvement.
definitely.
So that's good. Is the weather screwing up any of our city projects? It can be helping.
Oh
them.
yeah, it's not helping a few of them for sure.
Are we going to get them all done, or do we have to wait till the end of the year?
It's pretty early. I mean, it's June. You're bound to have some winner and loser days as you go from spring to summer. And right now, I would say things might be slightly behind, but not terribly.
Okay. All right.
And if it rains like it has in the last week for the next month, then we might have a lot of problems.
Yeah, and it is starting to feel like the monsoon season.
Yeah.
I know people who haven't been in other parts of the world really don't appreciate what a monsoon season is, but it's like this all the time. It just off and on rains all the time,
like Tuesday.
all the time.
Tuesday was a monsoon kind of day.
Oh,
Or was that
God.
Monday or Tuesday? One of them 2 days, it just seemed to rain all day.
Yeah. Well, every now and then it rains intense too. It doesn't stay intense, but maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever. But that's an atypical monsoon. And it's just, yeah, I prefer it over winter, but that's all I can say. Anyway, our crops are up in the field, and I think we're going to be okay anyway. So
yeah,
what's
I think the farmers are probably liking the rain.
Yeah.
You know, as long as they got their crops in.
As long as they got the crops in, that was the big thing. What's going on over at the city?
We got a myriad of things going on. We got a public art commission.
Oh,
that we're putting together the public hearing for an ordinance in order to create a public art commission. So it'd be kind of like the Blandon board, but it'd be related to public art.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'd be like an advisory council to the city council. So when somebody's going to, like the Deerdorfs that kindly gave that piece of art that's going to go on 9th and 1st, when they go to do something like that, they'll work with that committee, help select it, locations, make sure it meets the intent of what public art as a community is, and then make a recommendation to the city council.
That initial study, what, the Camaro or not?
Camaro study, the downtown one?
Yeah. Said our town looked old and tired. It doesn't so much anymore.
Not as bad.
Not as bad. We have old buildings that need rehabilitation or destruction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
but a little art.
You can't
in there.
have a community that's 150 years old this year that doesn't have some older buildings, and some that maybe have gone, south or aren't good. The Warden, a couple others don't look good at all and need some love, and we're working on those things. But the interesting thing with the Main Street Fort Dodge, some of the stuff that the city's been doing with the facade program, almost every block of downtown from 12th all the way to the city square has had some building have some work done on it, either tuck pointing or a whole new facade or new awnings, different things, all related to the improvement of the downtown in the last number of years. So things are happening, but it takes the one thing that we have, which is time to get it done. People somewhat want an overnight, reinvention
of course
of the wheel, but it just doesn't happen that way. I mean, success breeds success. Downtown, you get a new shiny top or a River Hops or Kingsgate Insurance, or those that have done some nice things to their buildings, and all of a sudden somebody says, hey, you know what, that worked for them, I'm going to look at doing something on this block. And then the next little thing happens, and the next little thing happens. Before you know it, you've cleaned up a blighted area or an area that was definitely underutilized.
I told you that visitors from out of town, old friends of mine, who dropped by my place, they want to go down and see the old Cargill elevator down by Amigos. They do. They've seen it on television,
Yeah.
and they've seen it in the Des Moines Register. Let's go see that.
It's cool.
They're mightily impressed. They really are.
And that's public art.
Yeah, that is public art. And I was just astounded when he was finished with that.
And I know some people, don't have a taste for this piece of art or that piece of art, but art creates emotion and perspective, and sometimes that emotion might make you go, I don't get it, or it might just draw something completely different out of you or somebody else. So just take it for what it is. It's art. It's creating a sense of place, a sense of culture that identifies people or places or a time. And it's not a bad thing to have art around. It's a good thing. It enhances our lives, I think.
Have you been talking with Susan Allers-Lehman and Shelley Butter? Because you
No, why do I sound like
you
that?
sound like that? But
No,
you're absolutely correct. I couldn't agree with you more.
I mean, you go to any successful large metropolitan city, from New York to LA, Tokyo, Beijing, even, you're going to see art, and you're going to see it in different forms and different ways. And there's nothing wrong with Fort Dodge wanting to say, hey, let's have some art. And there's a lot of great grants. There's a lot of great foundations that like to invest in those things and use their resources to the benefit of a culture or a society. And we should use those opportunities, capitalize on them.
You know, Dubuque, Iowa Dubuque's the oldest city in the state of Iowa. It was really the first settlement, as I recall. They have a lot of old downtown buildings. Of course, they're lucky enough to have 2 casinos in town. But the point I'm trying to make on the side of some of these buildings, as we did, where Constantine's was, there's kind of a mural there.
Right.
Dubuque has done similar things. Their artists or artists who are doing it, they have several of them around town in some of their older buildings. And they really do something for the town, I think. There's a great picture of old workers in some of the Dubuque used to put out a lot of they had a lot of factories in downtown Dubuque,
right?
A lot of mill workers, and there is a scene obviously taken from a photo of 100 years ago of mill workers, and that's all along the side of a building, an old building.
I've seen some of that. You know, we went through there on the Fireball Run just a couple
that's
years
right,
ago,
yeah.
And that was, I think, one of the challenges actually involved some of that public art,
Yeah.
and finding it and getting pictures taken with it and things like that.
Some of it's a little flaky. I mean,
Well, I mean, but again, that's perspective.
That's perspective, is
to
right.
you, it might be flaky, but to somebody else, that it could mean the world to them.
All of
that
it's-
could have been their grandparent,
That's
or
right.
great grandparent, or their uncle, or whatever. So, I mean, it's all perspective, and you know, just because you may not like a piece of art, it could mean something completely different to somebody else, and really, the real thing is we should have an appreciation for not only the art and the artists, but for the people that care enough to commission or have that piece of art done. There's some reason they picked it. There's some thought or some emotion that it drew in someone.
Bemrick's going deep on me today, ladies and gentlemen. He's going deep.
Yeah.
No, I have no problem with any of the art in Dubuque. It's better than than what was there, which is just an old,
dirty old looking
dirty
side
old
of a
brick
building. Yeah.
You know, no,
Or a
there's-
blank street corner with a stop sign or a simple street light,
Absolutely.
or some gobbledygook mess of a wayfinding, or who knows what it might be. I mean, look at some of the wayfinding we've put up in downtown and around the community. Wayfinding meaning signage telling you how to get there. You know, we tried to pick that and make it look a certain way in order to create an impact from it. So, you know, you go down Central Avenue and you see wayfinding right on I believe it's the northwest or east corner of Central and 10th. And I've had a couple of people say, well, it looks terrible. It's all rusty. Well, it was intended to look that way.
Yeah.
It was intended to have a rustic look to it,
Mhm.
a sense that it's been there a long time or whatever it might be. But somebody took the time to work with others to select that look, or that what they hoped would be appealing to somebody. And it may not be appealing to you, but it might be to others.
No, I'm in favor of public art 100%.
Good.
There is one building there that seems to have a fairy flying through the air with a magic wand and stars in the background, and rainbows and everything else. Now, you know, fairies flying through the air aren't really my idea of art, but it looks better than the old building that was there. I mean, the brick,
sure,
and some of the old plaster wall was still there, and so they just painted over it, and they did just a terrific job. I know you're more liberal about that stuff. I understand. You're woke.
Yeah, that's me, man.
Woke Bemrick.
I love how you define my philosophy.
Hey, I'm on board with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I think the sculpture is going to be a great
Is
idea.
The public art, your liberal thread, is that the one?
Hey, I
you
am a
remained?
patron of the arts. I'm a patron of the arts. I am.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, You've become a much more cultured person on this show.
Yeah, right.
You've learned all kinds of things.
I don't know.
You didn't know beforehand.
Congressman
You didn't even know there was a symphony in this community until this show.
I don't think I did. And I've been.
Is there a bomb in the hallway? Because I'm hearing it.
No, that's that humidifier or whatever that thing is out there. I don't know what that big thing on the ceiling there.
Folks, if all of a sudden you hear the mics go dead, tell my wife I love her.
Yeah, that's right. There's been a big explosion.
Boom.
That's right. My mom's up and out going again. I thought God would get him sooner or later. He zapped him. No, none of that's going to happen today. We're all good. So Michelle doesn't need to come running out here to the radio station. We're all good. We're fine. No, I was on the fine arts board before Short grabbed me by the collar and seat of the pants and heaved me out the door. So no, she didn't do anything of the kind. They had a great, well, Blandon actually, not last weekend, but the weekend before had, what was that? You weren't there. You were out of town.
I was gone. Yeah. They kind of had like a outdoor art fest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Ober was there playing music, and they had
a
lot of great,
amazing
music. He really is.
He is really good.
I've heard him over the years, and I said, "Oh, Jeremy, okay, you're okay," but
he's good.
He had somebody with him, a guy who played guitar, and they both sang. They were about equal talent, and Jeremy is much improved. He's very good.
Oh, he's a very good musician.
Yeah, he is. I suppose he works somewhere.
There's a lot of really good music going on, live music going on around our community right now. Like tonight, Shiny Top I'm not sure who Shiny Top has, but they'll have live music down there tonight. And it seems like, the winery, I think every Friday night they have music. Everybody seems to be really getting into the live music scene, and there's a lot more of that going on than when I was, in my 20s. Having a band anywhere around here seemed to be a rare occurrence. Yeah. I know way back in the day when the Larimar was hopping and things that, there was bands here all the time, but then it seemed like it just kind of went a void for a good period of time. And now it really seems to have some steam behind it again.
We were definitely a saloon town when I got here. There was a lot of bars and they were always full.
Yeah. I think the joke is if you looked in the phone book, there was more bars than churches.
Yes, there was. Yes, and there probably still is.
For those of you that don't know what a phone book is, it's this paper thing that you used to use to find phone numbers before Google.
Yeah, before Google. And
I remember when the new phone book would come out in our office, we would get like 30 of them because we put them in the trucks.
Sure.
Every guy needed a phone book in case you needed to look something up or find an address or a phone number or whatever. And nowadays, like the other day I came to the office on like a Saturday morning, and laying on the ground right in front of our door is one phone book. It was almost like a leaflet. It was in a little plastic baggie. And I took it out and I just had to kind of laugh at it. I was like, wow.
Times changed.
I remember when we used to have like a Des Moines phone book and an Ames phone book. And you would try to get phone books from other cities just so you could find things.
When I was a truck driver, I had
amazing.
several phone books in my truck.
Oh, yeah.
But the cell phones were a relatively new thing. And I had phone books all over. I don't even know if I have a Fort Dodge phone book at home anymore for the reason you just said. I'll just,
You just Google it.
Just Google it. All right. I forgot to mention, if you have a question or comment for the mayor of Fort Dodge, it's 515-955-1400. 515-955-1400. We'll be back.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Okay. Feeling a little mellow this time of day. Here's a little Ripple from Grateful Dead for you. The news is coming out, then we'll be back with Mayor Matt Bemrick at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about, and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
When it comes to being your best, who's in your healthcare support circle? Family? Friends? Coaches? What if there was a way to strengthen that circle of care? Mercy One now has a 20,000-person support team all across Iowa, with more locations and more highly rated specialty services than any health network in the region. Now that you can add all this care to your circle, why wouldn't you? Mercy One, your best life, our one purpose.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Here's a look at news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting for Bob Fisher. One lottery ticket buyer's loss is the gain of a group of Cedar Rapids workers. The Iowa Lottery says a group of 34 workers at Collins Aerospace, which designs and makes aircraft components, won the $1 million top prize in a lottery promotion to give away an unclaimed Powerball prize. A winning $1 million Powerball ticket was bought in Nevada last year, but never claimed before expiring in April. Under state law, the money from unclaimed lottery prizes goes into prize pools for future games and promotions, so the lottery decided to hold a Woohoo! A Million for You giveaway for the $1 million. Under the promotion, lottery players could enter any Powerball ticket bought in Iowa from May 29th through June 11th. Players made a total of 165,265 entries. The winning ticket held by the Cedar Rapids group was bought at an Anamosa convenience store. Iowa Congresswoman Cindy Axne says more needs to be done to help Missouri River flooding victims beyond what's included in the recently approved federal disaster aid package.
We were able, of course, to get the disaster package through. However, it's going to take a little bit of time for that money to get out to the communities. And so people are struggling with, figuring out continually where they're going to live, how they're going to go after the funding that they still need. There's still discrepancies with that.
Axne was in Sydney this week to meet with flood victims from Fremont and Mills counties. Axne says there's a lack of communication among the agencies responding to the disaster.
So unfortunately, at a local level, what we try and do is pick up those pieces and develop some type of cohesiveness for the folks who have been affected by the disaster, because it's really difficult for them to figure out where they need to go to get the funding that they need.
Axne, along with the governor and Iowa's 2 U.S. senators, are pressuring the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to change its Missouri River management practices so flood control is the top priority.
They're working off of old processes where they don't notify people of imminent danger as early as they could. We need to revise their mapping. They're working off mapping that's from the 90s. And so they're not looking at the environmental issues that we're facing today that are different.
Officials in 2 southwest Iowa counties this week asked state officials to start the paperwork for federal buyouts of flood-damaged homes that would be demolished. Mills County officials have identified up to 150 properties, primarily in rural areas, for potential clearing after federal buyouts. Between 50 and 60 properties in Fremont County, mostly in Hamburg, were identified as potential candidates for a federal buyout. An Iowa State University graduate student accused of sexually assaulting a woman in April at his apartment has pleaded guilty to assault with intent to commit sexual abuse. The Des Moines Register reports that 33-year-old Jonah Paulus entered the plea Monday. In exchange, the court agreed to sentence Paulus to 90 days in jail with credit for time served. Paulus also must register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. Police say Paulus held the victim down and sexually assaulted her on April 6th. When the woman was able to get up, she began recording Paulus with her phone and can be heard telling him, "I told you no." Police say he replied, "I know, I know." Paulus has also been charged with sexual exploitation of a minor and possession of an image of a minor in a sex act in a separate case. An Iowa State University mosquito expert says you really can make a difference in the amount of mosquitoes around your home. Assistant Professor of Entomology Ryan Smith says mosquito populations are starting to pick up some in different areas of the state.
I think it really just kind of depends on the given location. I think the temperatures are getting a little bit warmer. We've had some rain, but not quite as much here in kind of the recent week. And so I think these kind of increased temperatures are allowing for the mosquitoes to finally kind of show their ugly heads.
He says mosquitoes need to get blood from somewhere to help them reproduce.
Just a single female mosquito can lay anywhere between 50 to 100 eggs. And that one female might feed multiple times during her lifetime. And each time that she feeds on one of us, taking a blood meal, that provides a nutrient source to produce eggs.
So one way you could keep the female mosquito from reproducing is by not becoming a meal. Smith says you can do this by wearing repellent and proper clothing.
Some of these mosquito species, they don't feed exclusively on humans, but and sometimes might feed on some of the birds or, maybe your dog or cat. But really just kind of preventing any biting and removing the standing water in and around the home can actually make a pretty important difference in kind of eliminating mosquitoes.
Most of the mosquitoes that are buzzing about now are what Smith calls nuisance species. They will bite humans, but they don't really transmit disease, and so that's kind of why they use the word nuisance. He says they will bite and feed off of people, but there's no real major kind of health concern. Smith says the mosquitoes that do carry West Nile are already showing up in some places.
Populations that can be important for West Nile virus transmission, we start to see them already, but really as the summer time progresses, their numbers and population will kind of continue to build.
Smith's studies of mosquitoes show that the mosquitoes that carry the West Nile virus are most prevalent on the western side of the state, and the populations drop down as you get to central and eastern Iowa. That's a look at local news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge, 435. And the weather, first of all, 76 degrees. It'll rain off and on. I think I've given this weather forecast for 6 weeks straight. You kind of know the drill. Overnight, more rain. Tomorrow, more rain. Saturday, more rain. Sunday, more rain. Monday, rain. Tuesday, sunny. Hey, there's a break. Sunny with a high of 84 on Tuesday. Wednesday, sunny with a high of 87. So I'm ready for all that to happen. 76 degrees, mostly cloudy right now at AM 1400 KVFD. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home, and that's located at 923 First Avenue South here in Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Funeral services are at 10:30 in the morning for William Carl Brueggemann of Lake City. His services will be at the Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Lake City. Again, William Carl Brueggemann has passed away. Services will be Saturday at 10:30. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Mayor Matt Bemrich in the studio. We'll talk with the mayor in just a couple of minutes at AM 1400.
From the Fox Business Network on Wall Street, the major averages closing in the green after the Federal Reserve left its key interest rate unchanged and signaled that no cuts are coming for this year unless economic conditions weaken. Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
In light of increased uncertainties and muted inflation pressures, we now emphasize that the committee will closely monitor the implications of incoming information for the economic outlook and will act as appropriate to sustain the expansion with a strong labor market and inflation near its 2% objective.
The central bank is also penciling in one interest rate cut for next year, with the Dow rising 38 points, NASDAQ up 33, S&P 500 up 9. And Panera Bread is making a move to expand beyond the breakfast and lunch crowd. The chain announcing that it will be testing its new dinner-centric menu in restaurants in Lexington, Kentucky in July before expanding to locations in Providence, Rhode Island in September. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Hillary Barsky.
You don't want to mess with the IRS. They have the power to garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. That's all true. But thankfully, they're offering a way out. The Fresh Start Initiative. If you qualify, you could save thousands. The experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best possible tax settlement, and they have an A+ rating with the BBB. Call Optima for your free consultation.
Call 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744.
Optima Tax Relief.
I'm Jamie Brundage, owner of Historic Bruce Funeral Home. We're a full-service funeral home with an off-site crematory. At Bruce's, we specialize in pre-arrangements and family support before, during, and after the service. We also offer beautiful memorial items to help you remember your loved one forever. Bruce Funeral Home is proud to be by your side every step of the way throughout the funeral process. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge.
The Lizard Creek Blues Society presents Blues Under the Trees, Saturday, July 27th, featuring Hamilton Loomis. The full blues lineup includes Joe and Vicky Price, the Heather Newman Band, and Malcolm Wells and the Two Timers. Gates open at 1. They lay down the blues at 2. Advance tickets are $25. Get them now at Access Audio, Avila Bank, Ivy in Fort Dodge and Humboldt, and Reamy Music. Or get your tickets for $30 at the gate. Bring your lawn chairs and an appetite for great food and world-class blues. Blues Under the Trees, Saturday, July 27th, Sports Park Raceway, Fort Dodge.
The Orange Tag Sale is going on now at the General Store. Come in and take 50% off everything with an orange tag. This is the perfect time to shop for summer. From shorts, sandals, and tanks to skirts, dress shirts, and capris, the General Store has something for everyone. Look for the orange tag and save 50% right now. And remember, everything at the General Store is tax-free, and all proceeds go toward helping people in our community. Hurry in now and save 50% on everything with an orange tag at the General Store, 12 North 25th, Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention at AM 1400 with Mayor Matt Bemrick.
Boss, man, top dog, big cheese, a head honcho.
Call now, 515-955-1400.
There we go. AM 1400, KBFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. By the way, I won't be here tomorrow. I know that crushes a lot of you. I won't be here tomorrow, and I will be returned on Monday. But I'm going to take a few days off in the summertime because I prefer it to winter. I prefer it to winter, certainly. Our guest is Mayor Matt Bemrick. If you have a question or comment for the mayor, 515-955-1400, 515-955-1400. So, Matt, you were out at, we had a Medal of Honor winner here, Congressional Medal of Honor.
Woody Williams.
Woody Williams from the Second World War, which means he's not a spring chicken.
I think they said he was 95.
Okay.
He was here for the Gold Star Monument dedication out at the Memorial Park. That was, I believe, orchestrated by our Councilman Terry Minke.
I'm sure. Yeah, he was here.
He was
Wednesday.
very
He was here
involved
yesterday.
in that. He actually received an honorary board of directors appointment while we were there.
Really? Good for him.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
He does a nice job on that park. That park's really neat.
He does a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
You know, underneath that crass and sarcastic exterior is a pretty emotional guy sometimes, you know.
Very caring. He cares a lot about veterans and making sure people remember. And, yeah, he's definitely should be commended for that. And I thought that was pretty neat that they gave him that designation as an honorary board member of the Gold Star Foundation, Gold Star Family Foundation, I believe is what the name of the board is. So yeah, he did a nice job out there. And I know Johnson Monument, Kalen Johnson Monument, and Scott Johnson, they built that memorial monument, and it's impressive. If you get a chance over the weekend or as we get up here closer to the 4th and you make it out to the park, check it out. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, that's that. And as much as it pains me, I have to give Minke full credit for that park out there. Minke's done a lot of things like that. And I know he's not looking for, well, maybe he is looking for the recognition. I don't know. But I don't think that's his primary motivation.
No.
You know, he wanted to do that, and he remarkably got it done. You know, my son has a stone out there, and others do.
Right.
And Not because my son's deceased, by the way, just
Right.
veterans. It was open
Yes.
to combat
Yes.
veterans.
Yep.
And I really thought that was it said something good about our town that we have it. And it said something good about, am I going to say this?
Well, it's not just Fort Dodge. I mean, I think it's people in the region that have memorials there or have stones that are marking their service.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not just Fort Dodge residents or Webster County. It kind of has a little bit broader reach than that. So, yeah, it was a neat ceremony for the Gold Star Monument or Memorial Monument, and then they also did the Marine Corps new monument that's dedicated to the Marine Corps. That was pretty emotional also because Woody told a story about World War II. He was he ran the flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he did. Well, if you were the flamethrower guy, and I don't know if you want to Google this guy, he's got quite an impressive resume,
Mm-hmm.
but he is only about 5'6", not a real big man.
Right.
Well, he was assigned, if you carry a flamethrower, you're assigned a guy to basically be your like first assistant or whatever. I don't know the military lingo all that well, but he had a guy assigned to him. Well, the guy assigned to him, of course, was 6'6". So here you're this great big guy, and he carried the extra tanks and Woody's pack, his roll-up pack and all that stuff, and his carbine rifle. Well, the two of them became very, very close and very good friends, and they made a pact, and they both had a ring, wore a ring. Not because they were married, neither one of them were married at the time, but Woody had gotten a ring from his, at that time, girlfriend, who I believe would later became his wife. And then the other gentleman got a ring from his father when he left the ranch in Montana, and his father gave it to him. Well, the two of them made a pact that if they died in battle, that the other would get the ring, and they'd make sure it got back to their family or to the person that gave it to him.
Oh, no.
Well, the guy was killed.
Oh, gosh.
Woody said, taking anything off a deceased person that was killed in battle is like an instant court martial. You can get in a lot of trouble.
Right.
But he did it anyways. He took that ring off, and when he carried that ring the rest of the war, and then after the war, he got married, got on a train, and went to Montana and delivered it back to his dad. And there wasn't a dry eye in the place.
Oh, I bet that.
It was so emotional. I mean, I even went home and was trying to tell my wife the story and was getting choked up.
Right.
I mean, I've told it enough now because I've told it 3 or 4 times this week to the couple interested parties that were asking about the event. And it was a very, if you missed it, you definitely missed a rare occurrence to hear a Medal of Honor winner recipient tell a very, very personal story about his time over in World War II. So
I had to
it was cool.
I had to do mortuary duty for a time. They don't let you do that very long, not more than 30 days, because it gets to you.
I would imagine.
It gets to you. It just, you look at all the dog tags, and it's an administrative process, but it can't be an administrative process. It just gets to you. You start thinking of
all the handling of all that, and you know that was one of your brothers, one of your guys.
Sometimes you're in the room with them, you know.
Sure.
And it's they don't let you do that very long.
It makes me think of that part in Saving Private Ryan where they're going through the bag of dog tags looking for Private Ryan, and that I think it's the medic runs over and grabs him and just starts smacking one of the guys in the head. How dare you do that? And all the guys are marching by, and you can see the look on their face of devastation.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Woody probably didn't mention that. This is something I certainly understand, that the guy who ran the flamethrower, that was a dangerous job.
Oh,
First of all, you had to execute it exactly right. And second, the enemy always wanted to shoot you.
Yeah, I would imagine they did.
They look for you because they...
well, you'd make a big explosion.
Yeah, that's right. You could. AM 1400 KVFT, good afternoon. You're on the air with the mayor.
I have a question for the mayor. Has
Sure.
the city ever considered putting a flashing light on the yield sign coming into the roundabout from Badger on North 32nd?
Not that I'm aware of that we would have ever considered that.
I live a block and a half from there, and at least once a week I see somebody coming probably 40 mile an hour right into the roundabout without even looking. And most of those cars are from either out of the county or they're just not paying attention.
Right.
Were you on your way to J. Mars to get free coffee when you noticed this?
No, I'm coming back.
No, I haven't ever had anybody suggest it. I mean, I can talk to engineering and see what their thoughts are on that, and maybe we could take a drive out there and early in the morning before the sun's up, because I would imagine it's probably dark, and that might be why they're doing it.
Well, this one was probably 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we had a 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock lady going around the roundabout in a pickup coming from the north, didn't even look.
Wow.
And there could have been two T-bones, one either way, and neither one, they were both oblivious that anybody was even coming.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all the blinking lights and signs in the world can't fix some stupidity, but yeah, let me ask some questions and I'll see what some others think.
But it's when you're going around there, you better make eye contact with the people coming from the north, or you may get hit.
Yeah, I've noticed that you really got to be diligent. Even these downtown ones, you got to watch, because some people just kind of take the liberty of making their own little spot.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Well,
and you're
I
supposed to
appreciate the
yield.
consideration of it.
Yeah, you're definitely supposed to yield to the people in the roundabout.
Yeah,
but
and,
some people
very
just
few of
can't
them want
seem.
to.
Yeah, there's some people that I guess you just can't teach them how to do it.
Surprised you're not up north fishing there, Lewis. What happened?
Well, I'm back.
Oh, you're back. All right. Okay. You got rained out up there too. Huh?
Well, it was good weather the first week. Second week wasn't quite so good.
Yeah. Well, did you catch any fish?
Yeah.
Did you have a good time with the kids?
You bet.
All right, man.
You
Thanks
gonna
for
be there Saturday?
not this Saturday again. I'm taking a break. I'm out of town a lot on weekends, but
Okay.
I'll come back strong here pretty soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Take
AM
care.
1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Mayor Matt Bemrick's in the studio. If you have a question or comment, 515-955-1400. I don't think we have much of a record of accidents around the roundabouts, do we?
You know, I don't know. I've never actually asked for that traffic data. I'll do a little looking into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
I haven't heard of
I
it.
could see it if it's dark, that maybe a blinking yield light might help, but in the daylight, I don't know. I don't know if you can make it any more obvious that, I mean, you're going around a bend to get to it, but we'll see. I'll go out there and take a peek at
Well,
it.
about a
I-
year.
I try to, when people call, I try to go actually look at
Sure.
what they're calling about.
About a year ago, I had come out of the parking lot at Fairway, and I went to the roundabout to go north on 12th Street, and there was a older lady, older than me, which means she's older, but she was from Calhoun County, and she was just stopped
In the roundabout?
Well, not in the roundabout, but at the entrance to the roundabout, and she was kind of watching the cars go around. Like, what am I supposed to do now? I mean, she could have entered
On numerous
anytime.
occasions.
She just wasn't sure of what was happening there. She probably
Mhm.
lived,
Mhm.
roundabouts to some are a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't had them in town here.
They're new to Fort Dodge, but they've definitely been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What are they? They're a European thing, big time.
Well, yeah. I mean, you go all the way back in the 80s, the famous movie Chevy Chase European Vacation, you know, they get stuck on the roundabout. Look, it's Big Ben.
That's right, they do.
You know, I think that movie came out in the 80s. So, yeah, I mean, they've been around a long time, but, and I get it. Some people just hate the dang things, but
I don't mind them.
I like them.
I don't. It didn't take me long to get used to them. It didn't fake me out a couple of times, but I just watch like I always do. You know, so there's no stop sign that says a guy's going to stop at that stop sign.
No,
really. AM 1400 KVFD. Good afternoon. You're on the air with the mayor.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Mark from Arizona.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Question for you. When they took down the Warden Annex, I'm wondering what's going to happen with that brick. Back in the 70s, when half of the town burned down, or half of the downtown burned, my parents ended up with a brick, and we put that brick in our toilet to help save water. I don't know if the city has any plans like doing that this time.
Taking the bricks and giving them to people to put in their toilets?
Yeah, to save water.
No, I don't think we have a plan to do that.
Okay, very good.
Is this a prank call, or are you serious?
No. Back in the 70s, when part of the
Fantles burned down, yeah.
Fannels and stuff.
Somehow my parents ended up with a brick from that devastation.
Yeah.
And we put that brick in our toilet.
Going on Fort Dodge. Where were you living at the time?
In Fort Dodge.
Huh.
Okay. What was the brick supposed to do?
It took up volume, so it replaced water that would have been in there to flush. So it saves water. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I don't think we have those plans. I would imagine they could try to recycle them. They could do all kinds of different things. They could be used if somebody wanted to build a new house or something and they wanted that brick. They, I suppose, could pay to have that brick salvaged and saved. I mean, there's lots of different things. And there's some interesting deconstruction opportunities with almost any old structure anymore. I mean, you got granite and limestone materials that aren't often used any longer. Unless you got a very high-end building. So sometimes people will go in and they'll pull a lot of that valuable old stuff out and they'll use it for other things.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Mark, you still there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you listening to us on the radio or YouTube, or what are you doing?
Yeah, YouTube, yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
YouTube. All right, that's great. Okay.
I watch several times a day. Or not several times a day, several times a week.
Well, you have great taste. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
So Mark and Lewis are listening.
Yes.
And then I believe my wife is listening.
Yes.
And some guests we have here from Charlotte, North Carolina. I think Noah and Isaac are listening right now also.
Noah and Isaac. Was it recently your wife's birthday?
No.
Okay.
My wife's birthday is in February.
Oh, well, all bright people were born in February.
Oh, your birthday must be in February.
February 6th, yeah.
Okay. Hers is the 20th.
20th? Okay. No, I don't know why.
So Noah and Isaac, I believe, are watching us on YouTube also. So I'll wave at them. And
Sure. Yeah.
say hi to the guys.
I guess I don't
listening,
promote
so-
that enough. Yeah, if you want to see as well as hear what happens in the studio, just go to youtube.com, then type in 1400 KVFD, lowercase, and there we are.
And it's super exciting to watch.
It can be. It's not super exciting.
We haven't had any fist fights in here yet.
No, not yet.
But
But
he did try for a while. He kept trying to get me and Mike Sexton, the Scrapster.
Oh, I wanted to
Representative Sexton to be politically correct here. He was for a while trying to get us to be on at the same time to see if he could get us wrestling in here.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
I thought it was
he thinks that because we have different perspectives on particular items, somehow that we're going to end up in a fist fight. But
well, Scrappy's got his own thing going anyway.
yeah, he's a busy guy.
He is a busy
I'm a
guy.
busy guy too.
That's right.
So-
What
No,
was
but-
that about? I don't even remember now.
I
What were you
think
guys
it was
disagreeing?
about
City-
the tax reform bill.
Oh, the tax reform
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Or it might have been about judges. I don't know. We had a couple of different hot button topics we were talking about all season.
Could have been. I don't know. Could have been.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's always barking about judges. I can't really remember how many.
One other, just FYI for anybody who might be listening, I recently got tagged on a Facebook post about how to dispose properly of an American flag.
There we go.
And I honestly didn't know this, but somebody else enlightened me and the person asking the question that if you have a flag that is battered, torn, ripped, or is in need of replacement, and you're getting ready to do that for the 4th of July, or maybe you did it on Memorial Day, and you have this old flag that you want to dispose of properly, there is a place to do that at our local VFW. And I didn't know that. I actually was talking to Mike off air and he didn't know it either. So we're going to try to do a good job of kind of spreading that info a little bit and let people know. So if you go to get a new flag here throughout the summer and you want to get rid of your old one in the proper way, go out to the local VFW here on 5th Avenue South and the corner of 29th Street, and you can get rid of that flag the way you're supposed to.
It was Flag Day a week or so
June
ago.
14th, I believe.
2 weeks then, or close to that. But I'm a little embarrassed because I usually had a little thing that I did about Flag Day, but I forgot this year. All right, Mayor Bemrick has been our guest. Matt, thank you for being here. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
It's 4:58.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Enjoy all of Adventureland's rides, shows, and attractions, including the Phoenix. Our new spinning roller coaster, now open. Fun for the whole family. 2 great parks, all for one low price. Open daily at 10 a.m. in Des Moines.
Even in my own home, I had my own designated space to smoke. If I think about it, it really was like I was punishing myself. A friend of mine said, why wouldn't you just try the Juul? And so I went out and I bought one. The idea of going back to smoking, I couldn't even imagine doing that. I don't think anyone, including myself, thought that I could switch.
Carolyn made the switch October 2016. Make the switch at JUUL.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Well, again, I won't be here tomorrow, but it was great to be here today. Thank you for listening. Thanks to my guests, David Osterberg, Cole Peterson, Nevin Mulholland, Randy Coleman, and the mayor.
Straight talk on life and money. This is the Dave Ramsey Show on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Worried about war. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. After a White House meeting to discuss the downing of a U.S. drone by Iran in international airspace, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer expressing concerns.
I told the president that these conflicts have a way of escalating. The president may not intend to go to war here, but we're worried that he and the administration may bumble into a war.
Republican leader Mitch McConnell says the administration is engaged in what he calls measured response to Iran. This as Iran accuses the U.S. of a very dangerous and provocative act, claiming the drone entered into Iranian airspace. One of the suspects in the shooting of former Red Sox star David Ortiz facing charges here in the U.S. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Elisa, Rolfi Ferreira Cruz was charged with 2 counts of possession and conspiring to distribute drugs, as well as possession of a gun in committing a drug crime. Ferreira Cruz is the one of at least 11 men detained in the Ortiz case who admitted shooting the retired baseball star earlier this month. However, the New Jersey charges are unrelated to that incident. Each of the New Jersey drug charges could mean up to 40 years in prison. The firearms charge could add 5 years to that. Ferreira Cruz is in custody in the Dominican Republic. No word on any U.S. extradition, Lisa.
Gernal, controversial Alabama Republican Roy Moore announcing he's running for Senate again.
People of Alabama are not only angry, but they're going to act on that anger. They want Washington and other people outside this state out of their election. People of Alabama are tired of politicians saying one thing and doing another.
Moore lost 2 years ago amid sexual misconduct allegations. Moore is also hoping to unseat a Democrat, Doug Jones, whom he lost to in a special election in 2017. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 4.125%, APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 0.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Here's a look at news this hour from the newsroom. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting for Bob Fisher. One lottery ticket buyer's loss is the gain of a group of Cedar Rapids workers. The Iowa Lottery says a group of 34 workers at Collins Aerospace, which designs and makes aircraft components, won the $1 million top prize in a lottery promotion to give away an unclaimed Powerball prize. A winning $1 million Powerball ticket was bought in Nevada last year, but never claimed before expiring in April. Under state law, the money from unclaimed lottery prizes goes into prize pools for future games and promotions, so the lottery decided to hold a Woohoo $1 Million for You giveaway for the $1 million. Under the promotion, lottery players could enter any Powerball ticket bought in Iowa from May 29th through June 11th. Players made a total of 165,265 entries. The winning ticket held by the Cedar Rapids group was bought at an Anamosa convenience store. Iowa Congresswoman Cindy Axne says more needs to be done to help Missouri River flooding victims beyond what's included in the recently approved federal disaster aid package.
We were able, of course, to get the disaster package through. However, it's going to take a little bit of time for that money to get out into the communities. And so people are struggling with, figuring out continually where they're going to live, how they're going to go after the funding that they still need. There's still discrepancies with that.
Axne was in Sydney this week to meet with flood victims from Fremont and Mills counties. Axne says there's a lack of communication among the agencies responding to the disaster.
So unfortunately, at a local level, what we try and do is pick up those pieces and develop some type of cohesiveness for the folks who have been affected by the disaster, because it's really difficult for them to figure out where they need to go to get the funding that they need.
Axne, along with the governor and Iowa's 2 U.S. senators, are pressuring the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to change its Missouri River management practices so flood control is the top priority.
They're working off of old processes where they don't notify people of imminent danger as early as they could. We need to revise their mapping. They're working off mapping that's from the 90s. And so they're not looking at the environmental issues that we're facing today that are different.
Officials in 2 southwest Iowa counties this week asked state officials to start the paperwork for federal buyouts of flood-damaged homes that would be demolished. Mills County officials have identified up to 150 properties, primarily in rural areas, for potential clearing after federal buyouts. Between 50 and 60 properties in Fremont County, mostly in Hamburg, were identified as potential candidates for a federal buyout. An Iowa State University graduate student accused of sexually assaulting a woman in April at his apartment has pleaded guilty to assault with intent to commit sexual abuse. The Des Moines Register reports that 33-year-old Jonah Paulus entered the plea Monday. In exchange, the court agreed to sentence Paulus to 90 days in jail with credit for time served. Paulus also must register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. Police say Paulus held the victim down and sexually assaulted her on April 6th.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show. You jump in, we'll talk about your life and your money. This is where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. You jump in, we'll talk. The phone number is 888-825-5225. 888-825-5225. Chris is in Ontario, Canada. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. It's a pleasure to meet you or talk to you. Thanks for taking my call.
Certainly, sir. How can we help?
I was turned on to your show about a couple of years ago, and I basically used your methods to be able to cash flow my wedding. And now I'm sitting, and I kind of did something stupid, I guess. I went and I got a what you guys call a HELOC.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's called a merit line.
Mm-hmm.
And my mortgage is coming up for renewal. It's the only debt I have. And I was wondering if it would be a good idea to refinance my mortgage and just roll the whole HELOC or merit line into my mortgage, and then all I have is a mortgage payment.
What do you owe on the merit?
On the merit line, it's a $60,000 limit, and I'll be sitting at $35,000 for it.
What's your household income?
Household income is about $60,000 gross.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
yeah, I probably would roll it in as long as your first mortgage has to be refinanced anyway.
It does. It has to be refinanced or renewed in about 6 months' time. It gets renewed. So.
Okay. Why?
I've
why?
already talked to the bank, and the bank says that it's not a problem. But I was curious. It was what would Dave do kind of moment.
Yeah, I would go ahead and put it in there. It's more than half your annual income, so it's a baby step 6 item. It's going to be less interest and more stable being in your first mortgage than it is sitting as a second mortgage, a merit. And so, yeah, I would definitely do that rollover. Thanks. Patrick's in New Mexico. Hi, Patrick. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How can I help?
So currently I commute 100 miles each way for work. It's a 3.5